Hello, everyone, and welcome to our coverage of the Chessable Masters. My name is Firouzja, and I'm joined once again by Grandmaster Christian Chirilla. Christian, how are you doing?
Good morning, Fiona. I'm feeling re-energized after yesterday. We had a lot of exciting matches yesterday, and I'm sure today is going to be the same. Magnus Carlsen, after winning the finals of the winners bracket yesterday, will be having a rest. And Hikaru, for at least the first couple of hours, will be having a rest also because he's waiting for the winner between Alireza and Jan Duda, as well as Arjun Erigaisi and Jan Nepomniachtchi. So we're going to have a couple of matches in that regard before we know who Hikaru is going to be facing next.
Absolutely. So this is the losers bracket right now, the quarterfinals, two matchups, Alireza against Duda and Erigaisi against Nepo. The winners of these two matches will meet in the semifinals of the loser brackets, and the winner of that match will go on to play Hikaru at the end of the day. And finally, the winner of that final will take on Magnus tomorrow. Magnus, though, has the advantage of still having 2 lives in this tournament. So in order for one of the players of today to win the whole thing, he will have to beat Magnus not just once, but twice tomorrow. A tall order, Christian.
And I think it has been done before, perhaps only once by Alireza.
Alireza, right?
That's
yeah,
right.
I was gonna
Also
say.
in the Chessable Masters, he did it. He did it with some luck in that one because he could have easily lost the first match. But you know, once you win that first match, you have the momentum on your side. So you know, take it one step at a time. That's exactly what all the players that we have involved in today's quarterfinals, semifinals of the loser bracket, and the finals of the loser bracket will have to do. And of course, we're all rooting for Hikaru here.
Absolutely. I think in a sense it's nice for Hikaru, right? That he gets to wait. It can work both ways. Sometimes getting some games in, but these guys are going to have to, win 2 matches before facing Hikaru, which is going to be tiring. So I fancy Hikaru's chances. We'll see what happens when we get there. What's your prediction for the matchup between Alireza and Duda?
I have to go with Alireza. You know, he's the new generation, and I do believe that he has the momentum, and I do believe that, you know, he has the energy to get it done against Jan Duda. And from the play as well, he impressed me. He impressed me yesterday against Hikaru also. Of course, in the end, it was Hikaru with that beautiful Queen H4 that took it all the way to the bank. But Alireza can definitely get it done. And between Arjun and Jan, that one is going to be a very intriguing matchup because Arjun, we've seen him capable of playing incredible chess against Magnus. Jan, after losing to Hikaru 3-0, really went on and got some good victories. So this one is going to be tight as well, but I'm going to have to go with Arjun.
Okay,
And after that, I don't know. After that, I don't know.
I'll join you for the Alireza prediction. I'll pick Jan so that we at least have some suspense. So we don't predict all the same stuff. The game should start any minute. It's the same time control of 10+0. But remember, since this is the losers bracket, it's a best of 2 matches, not a best of 4. So all matches today will be a best of 2. I see a lot of you in the chat are talking about Hikaru. Will he be here? What's he gonna do? Well, he mentioned yesterday that he will probably be joining us. I see Wandering Bishop, our all-knowing mod, seems to confirm that he will be here for some of the time. I don't think he will join us for all the games. So we are just like you guys. We don't know when exactly he will join. He will probably join. And then later on when he plays, of course, he will not be commentating. I saw someone was saying he'll be commentating his own games. That's not going to be the case. When he plays, he will not be in this call. Christian and I will be calling the action so that he can focus 100% on his match.
Absolutely, and I think that's probably a good strategy. You know, come in, commentate on some games, commentate on your future opponents' games, and that also gets you in the groove of competition as well and of calculating things quickly. And I think this is why he's doing it. But of course, you have to strike that balance, right? Because you don't want to burn too much energy doing so. So we're waiting for Hikaru. I'm sure he will be joining us a little bit later.
So now we are waiting. I expect the first moves to come in any moment. Until now, it's always started around quarter past. Which match are we gonna? We're gonna follow Alireza to start off, or
We
what
can
do you
start off
think?
with this one, and we can definitely juggle
I'll
with the
keep
two
an eye
games.
on the other games so that if something exciting happens, we can move there
That's probably the best
quickly.
path forward. Yes, yes. And again, at least, well, two of these players. I don't know about the third one, but there's some hints hanging around there always. Arjun and Nepo are signed by organizations. Arjun, I think he was one of the first ones, Gen G, and Jan Nepomniachtchi just came with his statement yesterday. He's going to be Team Aurora. There you go. There you have it. That's Jan Duda and Ali
A
Reza.
solid start to the day with the Petrov. Duda also rocking a new look, I see, with the glasses. It might be the first time I see him wearing glasses.
Well, everybody's getting old, Fiona. Yeah, we know Duda as, the perennial youngster, but
I
he's,
know.
everybody's getting old. Everybody needs glasses at some point.
So let's see. I mean, Jan Krzysztof, I still haven't read it actually, but he came out recently, right, with some statements about his mental health, thoughts of quitting chess. So I hope he's in a better place and he's able to show his best today. Let's take a look and jump into the game. What's happening so far?
Yeah, so basically, this is one of his pet openings for Jan Krzysztof Duda. He has one of the most topical games in this line, I think, against Jan Nepomniachtchi. And I want to say that perhaps he was white in that game, but definitely knows exactly what he's doing in this particular line of the Petrov. So this one is going to be quite interesting. This knight will be jumping back to e6 at any moment, and then you're going to try to create something in the center as black. c5, d4, try to get things going on that side. In the meantime, what white is trying to do, just absolutely destroy black's position in front of his king on the other side. f4, f5, g4, just push p and try to get the checkmate. This is going to be the battle. Black is going to go on this side, white is going to go against the black king on the king side.
We could be seeing some caveman chess here from Alireza, who is thinking right now, he, of course, cannot play f4 right now. The knight is hanging, so the knight jumps into f5, hitting the bishop. I guess, I mean, do you want to try and hold on to the bishop, move it to c5, or you don't care about giving the bishop here?
I think it's going to be tough, yes. And I think you don't mind necessarily giving up the bishop, especially for such a powerful knight. And he's trying to do basically the same thing. Knight f4, saying that you take on e7, I'm going to take on e2 at the right moment as well. And Alireza is like, no, you know what? A bishop to g4. Now, this comes with some ideas, right? First of all, I don't think I'm in a hurry to take on e7. I think I'm just simply going to go something like knight f3 next. All I want to do is dislodge this knight from f4, right? This is your beautiful knight, but I have a beautiful knight too. So I'm going to dislodge it first and then get the pawn formation going with f4.
It's
For example,
funny how, yeah,
knight
moving the
b3,
knight.
get the knight back to e6 if you might, and then f4. This would be ideal.
Okay, so knight g6 was just played by Duda. That knight was under attack. Now the f pawn is a little bit blocked. Funnily enough, we talk about those common plans: push the c pawn for black, push the f pawn for white. Both those plans have been stopped for now. That doesn't mean they cannot happen in the future, but we still have this tension, with the knight on f5. Is the knight going to take on e7? If so, when is it going to take? Or are you just going to secure the knight maybe with queen d3?
Yep, that's probably a good idea. Queen d3, get this pawn to c3 so that you don't have to worry about any sort of knight b4 ideas, and take it from there. Keep the knight as is. Right now, especially after bishop to e6, you kind of showed your hand, right? You're not going to take on f5 anytime soon. You're going to try to utilize this bishop to just block the advancement of the
Sorry,
pawns.
Christian, but
Yeah,
I
go
think
ahead.
Duda's
What's-
camera just died, so now we get the anti-cheating back view
Oh, we
into
get the
his
back
room.
camera.
Is it
Okay.
not winter where Duda is? I mean, I'm here in my warmest, my warmest jumper, you know, I'm wearing thermals. He looks like, you know, he's somewhere in the Caribbean or somewhere having a, you know, a little holiday.
I have no idea where Duda is. It does look like somewhat of a personal room. It doesn't look like a hotel room
Yeah.
necessarily.
Probably he has
Um,
good heating rather than being somewhere sunny. I wonder
yeah,
how much I see Jaren just moved around a bit. I mean, this feels so, I feel like we're big brother here, you know?
he looks like he's in the
Showing,
attic. Yeah,
yeah,
it's like somewhat of an attic shape.
yeah,
Um,
exactly with
yeah.
the roof. Anyway, let's go back to the game. Queen C3 and Queen D3 have been played. So C3, as you mentioned, important to stop the knight from jumping to b4 and annoy our queen. I'm surprised that the computer kind of likes black. I thought, okay, white is more active. Why do you think the computers think black is completely fine here?
Well, first of all, it does seem like I'm up on development in terms of I already can bring my rook to e8. You still have to find a spot for this bishop and then make the connection between the rooks. Now, also, this pawn on e5, now that is not going to be supported, at least not anytime soon, by the pawn on f4. It could become a liability. So that could be problematic, especially right now with this construction. The two knights nicely hitting that spot, and the knight on f3 and the rook on e1 right now are just basically having a defensive role. a5, this is a bit puzzling to me. Like, are you actually trying to just go a4, knight a5, knight c4, something like that? Is that the plan?
I wonder. I mean, it seems like a decent plan. I was wondering for white, is it completely crazy if I go g3, h4, trying to dislodge the knight that way?
I see what you're doing. I see what you're doing. Well,
Maybe too crazy
maybe
for
later.
now.
Maybe later.
Yeah.
Yes.
I just thought this knight on g6 is so annoying.
It is. It is a good idea. It definitely is a
Mm.
good idea, and I think he's probably going to go for that. What I think he's worried mostly about right now is trying to secure the pawn on e5. But I do like the idea of g3, h4. It comes with some consequences, right? Because you are weakening some squares, but at the same time you are dominating the knight if you do so. Can you
So
just go
let's.
h4 first, by the way? Like, what's the deal with that?
Oh,
Ah, h4
you're.
first, you just take.
And the bishop is hanging on g4, yeah.
Yeah.
But bishop c5 gets a question mark from the computer.
Well, maybe I can jump in. Not only that, I'm starting to look at some checkmating ideas. Wait a minute. Knight g5 might be problematic right now. It's not an easy move to make because you are allowing knight takes e5. But I think this is just a mate, isn't it? Check,
Unbelievable.
check, boom.
That's a very nice line.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's the mate that if he spots it, well, he's going to be in tremendous shape if he finds knight g5.
Let's see. Sometimes a situation like that can already give us an early indication of how sharp is Alireza today. What's his form like? It's a big move to find. If he finds it, he will be a big favorite to win this first game. And I mean, especially in a best of two match. I mean, winning game one is just, of course, massive.
It's huge. It's huge. And right now after knight g5, in fact, the only way to stop me from delivering those checkmates is to move this rook away. You need to move it. E8, D8 doesn't really matter. You choose the spot, or B8 even. All you have to do is get ready to defend that H7 tender spot with the knight on F8. Easier said than done, especially if he does find the knight G5 move. He still hasn't. He's spending a lot of time on this one, on this
I
decision.
feel I feel like if we zoom in any more on Alireza's cam, we can almost see what's going on inside his brain.
Yeah, that's a 5-head forehead right there. Yeah.
He is still thinking, which makes me think that he senses that this is an important moment. And yeah, we'll see. What do you think? There we go. What's going on in there, Alireza?
He found it. He
95.
spotted it. He spotted it. Maybe we can see a sly smile right now. Yep, there you have it.
Yeah, we
There you have it.
did.
There you have it. Yep. Yeah, he thinks he's better, which he is, for good reason. Right now, after knight g5, the pressure is on. The good thing for Jan Krzysztof is that he doesn't have too many options. Like, he knows what's coming. He knows there's a mate. Yep. And he immediately realizes that, you know what, I need to move this rook away.
And again, I mean, Queen H3 here. It's funny how there are strong moves for Alireza, but there's always just one move. So in this case, before it was Knight G5, now it's Queen H3. It's a logical move, though. It's the
Makes
logical
sense.
follow-up of
Yep.
Knight G5. But the question is how to continue now that H7 is protected.
Yeah, and I think this is when the big, this not necessarily decision making, but now it's time to start coming up with a good plan. And I think the best one is to just take that bishop away. The bishop is quite annoying. Take it off. And he's like, nope, you know what?
No, I don't want
Oh,
that bishop.
that was a missed opportunity right there. H5, look at this move. You cannot take on H5, you lose the piece. You have to take on E6, and after taking on G4, take, you're just in a much worse position. Did not spot it. Knight E7, Knight AC6, and we're back to Alireza being much better.
What do you make of the time situation? We talked yesterday about the importance of the time in this format. Alireza is better, but he's down more than 2 minutes.
It's huge. It's huge. And you see the calculation going on in Alireza's mind right now on the screen.
That's some great work by Jaren. Guys, show some love for Jaren in the chat. I don't know how he does these things on the fly. And look who's here. Hikaru, welcome.
How's it going, you guys?
Welcome, Hikaru. Good morning. How are you? How are you feeling?
I'm good. Just watching the game, just seeing what's going on.
Excellent. And what's your first take on this one?
Yeah, so I mean, it looks like Alireza is better here from what I can tell, but it is a very complicated position, so it's tough to play. I mean, I think what I would say is this game, here's what I would say. I think this were without increment, like this is. Objectively, I'd probably prefer to be black. But of course, the player who's playing with the white pieces is Alireza, and he is very fast, so the time situation doesn't really concern me in a sense. So I think everything here is going well for Alireza. But if I were to have this position against anybody not named Alireza or Magus, I probably would prefer to be black here, if I'm being honest. Just because I think it's not super easy for white to break through right away. Although actually, now that I look at it, maybe you can just go bishop h3 and some g4, g5, or g4, f5 very quickly. So maybe it's not that bad. I guess, actually, now that I look at it more, I kind of like it even more for white than I did before, because if black's not getting counterplay by pushing the pawn to c5 here, you're really going to struggle to do anything.
Yeah.
Really struggling. So yeah,
and
it
it's
looks
not that
quite
easy
good
to
for
do
Alireza.
that, right? You have to go something like knight d8, c5, but that seems too slow.
Yeah, so it looks quite good, just right offhand. So I'm feeling pretty good for Alireza here in this position.
Yeah, go ahead, Fiona.
No, I was just gonna say, yesterday you mentioned you would like the challenge of playing Alireza one more time. Today, after sleeping on that for a night, do you still feel the same way?
Yeah, I mean, it's what I said. Of course, to be fair, there are some players like Arjun who I have not faced in this format, so you really don't know. But based on most of the players I've seen who are playing in this 10+0, I mean, honestly, I would just prefer to I feel like I should just be a big favorite. So maybe I'm wrong in that. Maybe someone like Arjun could be very, very different, obviously, because I haven't played him. But when I look at like a Duda or a Nepo, if I'm playing well, I think in 10+0, I should be a big favorite against either one of them. So from that standpoint, I'd much rather play Alireza. Also because, separately, and this probably will be talked about more over the coming days and weeks, I think as teams become more aware of the exact format for qualifying. But because I'm going to finish at least third place, I think it's basically guaranteed that I'm going to make it into the finals, regardless of what happens in the next event. So from that standpoint, I'm not really looking at it as like what is necessarily best for the result, because I know that I'm already going to make it to the final event. So I would like the challenge much more.
Yeah,
so we'll see. It's looking good right now.
It's all about those clock, right? In those last couple of minutes. When do you start panicking? When you have like 3 minutes, 2 minutes? Like when do you start, making
like
your
I think
decisions?
if I look at my match against Grishuk, everybody is different, but I felt that against Grishuk, he did not panic until it was too late. So I think that Grishuk needed to panic when he had like 3 minutes left, and I felt like he started panicking much closer to the 2-minute mark. So I thought that Grishuk's time usage wasn't great. By the way, what is Alireza doing after b5, b4 here? In this position?
I guess he just wants to take on f5, which is a big concession.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of this is a game, a perfect example where I feel like with increment, I think like anybody would much prefer to be white, but without increment, there are tricks here. This could get very spicy. Also, can black take with the pawn and go knight d8, knight e6?
Yep, that's probably the best. Yeah.
Okay. Well, if he's gonna take with a rook and allow this, then yeah, okay.
But g5 perhaps doesn't work yet. Okay, bishop.
Yeah,
e1.
but I mean, you go bishop e1, bishop g3, and then you start pushing forward with f5 at some point.
Yep.
No, I mean that's a big mistake from Duda. Big mistake.
Not taking with the pawn.
Yeah. Now again, like that. This is the other thing that I said. When you play without increment, I know a lot of what I'm saying is gonna fly over almost everybody's head here. But when you play without increment, in many cases, the most important thing is not like the objective nature of the position once you get down to like 3 minutes, but it's who has the easier moves or the easy clear-cut plan. And like Alireza now has a clear-cut plan. If Duda had taken with the pawn, he would reroute the knight to e6, and Alireza would be the one who has to come up with a plan. So the ebbs and flows of the position and whose moves are easier is a very, very big thing when you're playing without increments. So I think right now I like Alireza's position. His moves are much easier. Duda has to come with a plan. So what is Duda going to move? Move the knight, take the pawn. A5 is hanging now. There's just everything is kind of loose here. Everything is super loose.
This reminds me very much of your game against Alireza yesterday, the one in the Armageddon, where his moves were initially easier. He was just pushing P. And then after that, he had to find a breakthrough, and he didn't in time. After that, your defensive moves became very cohesive and very flowy.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like it's difficult because when I say easy moves, that depends on the level you're at. But generally, I would say that if you're playing a game, let's just say 2 minutes or less, if your opponent is attacking, in some ways, it's better to be in that situation where you're defending because your opponent has to prove the win. Your opponent has to break through, and your moves, you're just trying to avoid getting checkmated. Like in my game against Alireza, I couldn't really do a whole lot. Most of my moves were only moves to stop the checkmate ideas. And so then he had to burn the time. And so if you get in that situation and your opponent isn't super precise and Alireza was not super precise, then you're almost always going to end up winning. So the flow of everything changes a lot when you're playing without increment. I think a lot of people don't realize that. They think that it's all kind of the same thing, but it's not. And by the way, now the ebbs and flow have gone the other way. Now Alireza has kind of misplayed this where he has to come up with a plan. Ooh. And Duda, I like Duda's position here, actually.
I defend the knight, keep the knight on c6.
Queen e8. Queen e8, queen d7. Yeah, it's tricky.
What do you think about the clock right now? Less than a minute for Alireza.
Objectively here, I would prefer. It's so tricky. I mean, again, like I said, almost always I'd prefer to be black here, but it's kind of what I said yesterday, where I felt that position I had in the second game against Alireza. If I were playing anybody except for him, maybe Magnus too, but realistically, I'd say anybody but Alireza, I think I would have won that game instead of losing it. So it's all, okay, takes and b2, and yeah, this is getting messy. Because queen c2, there's queen a2.
Oh, nice. Oh, that's nice. That can easily be missed. That can easily be missed.
We're going to see. This, by the way, this is where we're going to see. I mean,
queen c2,
whether Alireza can
bishop
put
f2?
it together.
Can I go bishop f2?
Wait, queen a2?
Bishop f2?
Oh, you have bishop f2, rook f4? Ooh, this is... yeah, this is getting very messy.
He has to go for it though. Queen a2 is necessary. Bishop f2 only move. I guess rook f2 is also a move. What?
Rook f2, queen takes a2.
Yeah.
But rook f4, I mean, there's also rook f4, rook b1, queen a3 as well, maybe. Rook e4 now queen a3. Yeah, rook e4 and queen a3.
It's looking like Alireza might be in some danger right now. If you go rook d1, rook e2.
Oh, wow. Rook f7? Wait, queen a3? Whoa. I mean, because there's rook b8. There's rook b8.
Oh, that's nice.
There's rook b8.
But is 26 seconds enough?
If he can trade the rooks, definitely. If we get rook f8, but rook f8, queen e2. And the other problem is, while your opponent's thinking, Alireza's thinking on his time. See, like Alireza there, when Duda spends the 20 seconds, Alireza's thinking on his clock, and now Alireza's able to blitz moves. Very similar to what I did yesterday against him, where at the end of the game, when he was using long things, I was thinking on his time and responding instantly. And so, yeah, Alireza, I think he'll be fine here. It's 20 seconds. I mean, this is Alireza we're talking about. Probably C5, D4 is what I would go for, but okay, let's see.
Bishop
Okay.
G3.
He's going to find a way to trade the queens, I assume, like queen D3, queen C2.
And
Oh,
the
you got to
queen
go
is-
check, queen F1, queen H1. I mean, Duda just has to pick
Duda
up
is playing too slowly, no?
Yeah, he's playing way too slowly.
I think Alireza wants a draw right now.
Okay.
Queen
Is this
H5.
just about
queen
to-
H5,
Oof.
okay.
How do you defend this? Oh my goodness. 5 seconds.
Check.
Bishop F6.
4 seconds, Alireza.
No, he's going to lose. He's too slow.
Oh man.
He's going to lose.
Oh, and that's
Ah.
it. Wow,
What?
Duda takes the first game.
I'm really impressed by Duda. I didn't think he had it in him to do this.
Man,
No
no increment
mean,
is absolutely brutal.
yeah, but you know, my take is I think that because the game started off with you start off thinking slower. I think Alireza was just a little bit too slow to do the transition to bullet. I think he was a little bit too slow transitioning to bullet. That's definitely I'm definitely surprised by that because I thought that Alireza should have drawn that game. I really did think he should have drawn that game. But yeah, it's what it is. You know, I said before, and I would say it again as well. You know, in my opinion, I know a lot of people are going to be unhappy with the format, but I think that no increment is just better for the viewers, honestly. I really do believe that. So for me, even if it kind of feels bad for someone to lose like that, I don't really have an issue with it.
Yeah, no, it's just part of the deal, you know.
Yeah.
By the way, beautiful game by Jan. Seems to have steamrolled Arjun. How's
Yeah.
What's your assessment of that match? Because obviously Arjun had a pretty interesting match, competitive against Magnus. Jan, after losing to you, he really displaced of, I don't remember exactly who he played, but he won.
Well, he played
handily.
Artemiev, and he I think in the Armageddon, Artemiev missed a mate in 2 or something, if
Oh.
I'm not mistaken.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I think that obviously Nepo is a player who's very dangerous in this format. I said it I think before the event as well. You know, when I look at this field, my view of with the 0 increment is I felt that there were realistically only 4 players in terms of established players who could win, and then maybe there's someone young or like an Artemiev maybe, or like a Prague or an Arjun, someone from like the newer generation who could win. But just eyeballing the event, my view is that there are effectively 4 people who can win because of how good they can be when they're low on time. Those 4 players are Magnus, myself, Alireza, and Nepo. So I'm not particularly surprised to see Nepo doing very well here because I think the format does definitely it does benefit him because a lot of games he plays with very fast tempo and he puts pressure on the clock, and it's always annoying to deal with when you play with increment, and then to not play with increment, it should only benefit him more. So I think that I think that it's not really that surprising to see Nepo in this stage.
What's your prediction? Is Alireza going to come back with black?
I don't know. I mean, I think Alireza is someone who can get tilted very easily. You know, I think the thing that, you know, is very I think stressful though about this is that and this played a role. I mean, obviously Magnus played better than me, there's no doubt about this, but there's a lot more stress on the line because as a chess player, one of the things you really like is you like having to know your schedule, knowing what you're playing. You don't like uncertainty, I would say, even in the game itself in many cases, but is like, you know, that if you finish in like the top 4, you're going to make it to the grand finals regardless of how you do in the next event. And so I think that's also playing a big role with like Alireza. I think if that were a casual blitz game, for example, he probably would have been more sloppy towards the end and probably been quicker and not gotten flagged. But you know, there is a lot of pressure on the players because you're first of all, you're representing your team. And then secondly, you're trying to qualify to where you know you have everything locked up. You don't have to worry about the next event in May. You don't have to worry about the last chance qualifier, and everything is nice and clean. So I think that plays a huge role as well in terms of like why you see the nerves and everything else that's going on.
Bit more of a side quest, I guess, side question also, and maybe Jan Krzysztof Duda did say recently that he's thinking about retirement. Did you cash that? And what's your take on it? I mean, he's super young and he's been very successful at the top for quite a few years. Why do you think he's thinking about in those type of terms?
So, I mean, I think first things first, I'm aware there's some article and I'm probably going to actually cover that at some point down the road. I don't know exactly what he said, but my view is, and I say this because I think most of what I say as someone who's played at the top level rings true, unless your name is someone like a Fabiano or a Magnus, which is that I think that when you go through the progression of being a player, everything is mostly straightforward. You play tournaments, you try to improve, you control your own destiny, all these sorts of things. And I think that at some point, once you make it specifically to the candidates tournament, you kind of become a little bit disillusioned if you don't do well in that tournament. And what I mean by that is if I look at Alireza specifically, first, and I'll get to Duda. He took 9 months off, I think, after he qualified for the event in 2022. Takes 9 months off, studies. Everything kind of falls apart pretty early on. It's a forgettable tournament for him. 2024 gets off to a bad start, never in contention. And I think that when you put in so much time and effort to trying to qualify and then you get there and it just doesn't work out, it's very tough mentally to recover from. You kind of feel like, what's going on? What's the point? And so then to Duda, I think it's very similar, where in 2021, Duda was on fire. Did he win the World Cup?
He won the World Cup.
He beat Magnus. I know that. And so like he wins the World Cup. He's right as big high. He gets the candidates, fizzles out early, draws a few games, loses a game here or there, never really in contention. And I think when that happens, it's very hard to stay motivated because you kind of feel like, okay, so now I play this one term that has this outsized importance versus everything else. And if it doesn't go my way, then what am I really doing with my life, kind of?
This is exactly what he said. He said that winning the World Cup was probably the worst thing for his career.
Okay, well, yeah. So clearly I'm not crazy when I say these things, because my mindset as a top player, everyone goes through it. I think that yeah, it's one of those things where once you get there, you feel like you've done it, and then you realize that a lot of what has to do with the candidates has almost nothing to do with chess. Like, for example, if I look at myself after 2016, I don't know if I've actually said this that much. I'll definitely talk about it in the future. I'm working on a book and it's going to probably feature in that as well. But basically after 2016, when I qualified for the candidates, I did the exact same thing. I reached number 2 in 2015, get to the candidates, really excited, spend a couple months preparing really, really hard. Everything falls apart very quickly. I start forgetting lines. Everything just isn't meant to be. Never in contention. Don't do well in 2016. And then after that, it's just a slow burn down to eventually what I would say at the time was what looked like my demise in 2019, when I fell all the way to, I think, number 18 or 19 in the world. And so for me, it makes perfect sense because once you get to the candidates, it's like the pinnacle. And then you realize that actually winning the candidates is kind of this complete lottery, sort of a crapshoot. You have no idea what's going to happen. And it's very hard because usually you control everything you're doing. And I think once you haven't won the tournament, it's kind of like, well, okay, now what? Now you're just playing for the money. You're just playing, like, you lose the motivation. I think it's very tough to recover from that. So for me, it's not shocking to hear at all. I mean, I obviously feel bad for Duda, but having been a top player for a long time, it's no surprise at all.
Yeah.
If we look at the position, it looks like Duda is doing quite well here with white.
Yeah, it's not a good position for Alireza.
He's also down 2 minutes on the clock. This one is tough.
Yeah. Oh, is my internet not great? Is that me?
Maybe a couple of seconds of.
It said my internet connection is not stable. All I'm going to say is, thankfully it's happening today, and I didn't get disconnected during one of the other games, like yesterday or something. But anyway, yeah. So for Duda, though, I mean, he's a great player, but I think definitely that's probably what's going on. Is it's just when that happens, you feel like you're only then playing for like the money or for the career, and it's like, what exactly is the point? And I would also say, like, this is not really intended to be a jab per se, or kind of like a hot take, but it's also why I kind of find it a little bit odd sometimes when I hear things like, Magnus is doing things for the players, because Magnus is one of the very few people who has never experienced any of this. He's never really gone through like the candidates and failure of that level. He's always been kind of just like, he's the best player. So like he wins like almost always. And he's never really had to go through those struggles. So I think, like, when I look at these players, like, most of them have gone through these things, but like, that's why sometimes when I hear these things about Magnus and trying to improve things for players, I am kind of skeptical, just because he has not had the experience to say I've had, or Alireza or Duda or others have had.
What's the balance that you need to strike? Like, obviously you've taken more or less both routes, right? You've spent months at a time did poorly. You've spent probably less and did much better. What's the balance there?
Well, I mean that's why I say the candidates. It's kind of hard to really it's hard to like be super serious about chess at some point because when I played the candidates in 2016, I spent 3 to 4 months preparing. When I played when I played in 2022, I think I spent maybe like 2 months. I mean, I was a little bit more serious. And then this last one that I played, I was anything but serious. I mean, I spent maybe 3 weeks preparing before the event, and in some ways, it was probably the best event I had. So I don't really know, and it speaks sort of like the randomness of the candidates. It also speaks to why when people ask me about like qualifying again, like for me, it would be nice to qualify, but I'm not going to go out of my way to try and qualify because even if you get there, it's still just a complete random lottery with no guarantees at all.
But how do you come to terms? Because with that type of mentality, because obviously as any professional player, you want to win the world championship. You want to
Well,
become
I
a
mean,
world champion. How do you come to terms with that?
I can make the joke, which is, of course, you have to learn the art of not caring, obviously, which is the obvious joke. But I think basically it's I think it's sort of you just have to find a way to motivate yourself to keep going. You have to motivate yourself, whether it's through like preparation, new ideas, new positions. You have to find something that brings you joy. And I think if you can do that, it's very possible. Like Fabiano, for example. I mean, maybe Fabiano doesn't have any of these thoughts, but my view, at least, of someone like Fabiano, who's been there many times now, and he's won. I guess he only won once in 2016, but he's always been close. Is I feel like he's always looking for new ideas. He's able to like focus on the chess, find the joy in the game. Um, and I think that really helps him a lot. But it's very difficult, obviously. I think for myself, it's just kind of like, okay, I just go there, I try to do my best, but I don't go in with any idea of thinking I'm going to win. I just want to play chess and see what happens because once you've been through it like a couple of times, you know that it's just like it's random. It's completely random.
Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. Back to the position. How is Alireza looking?
Yeah, his position's bad. I don't like it. Knight C7's good. I mean, this is kind of sad. Um, yeah, I mean, we're headed to an end game. Just not seeing it. So I
And
think
he,
I'm probably gonna play Nepo or Duda. Assuming that Alireza doesn't get it done here. I mean, actually, does Arjun? No, Arjun has black, right? He doesn't have white either. Can we go to that
Yeah,
game?
Arjun is black and he's he's worse. He's not
Yeah.
winning. He's not winning
Yeah,
this.
yeah. I mean, there's no way he's gonna win this because the E4 pawn is too weak. Yeah, this will almost certainly be a draw. So
Just push,
yeah.
push B.
How are you gonna spend, the next, I guess you'll play maybe in roughly an hour, a bit over an hour.
Yeah, I mean,
don't know.
I think I'll probably do this pretty much the same routine I've had, which is just be very relaxed and loose as much as I can before the game. As I said before, I feel pretty good about it. I mean, for me, I feel like at this point, I've achieved the main goal. So now it's just sort of playing with the house money and trying to do well in the remainder of the matches, whether it's one match, today or whether I play Magus again. Just try to enjoy it because, as I said, I'm guaranteed to get at least third place. So that will definitely be good enough to make it to the grand final. So I'm just going to try to stay loose, relax, enjoy it, and hopefully it'll go well.
How do you see, this tournament this year, the Esports World Cup, do you think it's really going to shake up the chess world?
I mean, I think there are a couple things. I think between freestyle and the Esports World Cup, players are not going to be as enthusiastic or excited to play in the FIDE events. I think what I would say about that is when you look at all the Grand Chess Tour events or you look at all these opens, all these different things, like I'll give you a good example. There's this event, I think in June or July, which is called is it the World Team Championship or something? There's some event there. Now, again, I don't know about all the players because obviously freestyle just started. Esports World Cup is kind of new and everything else. But my take is that when you see events like that, there's a decent chance that players are going to start to pick and choose their tournaments as opposed to just playing every tournament under the sun. Because now with the Esports World Cup and some of these org deals, players I think are doing better financially. And then with freestyle, of course, the prizes are very, very big. So because of both of these things, I think that players are going to be picking and choosing much more versus just playing every possible event that they can. And I also think it's going to lead to probably, people are going to probably have the attitude that I mostly do, which is they're going to try to qualify for the candidates, but they're not going to be like, it's the end of the world. It's the last thing. It's all that matters. I think players are just going to try and pick the tournament, see what's best financially and go from there. So I think ultimately the big gain for the players is that they don't have to play everything because the financial conditions are much better than they have been.
But would you say that this impacts only, a very select few of the players?
Select few. I guess
Like
we're
maybe top
talking
10,
again.
and
I
you
mean,
still have to stay in the top 10.
yeah, but also I was going to say that's the other thing. Like, because, you know, for example, freestyle is based off of classical ratings. I think there's a very decent chance that players are incentivized to play less and less.
To sit on the rate. Okay, that makes sense.
Like, I mean, like, I'm not even speaking about myself, because I don't play much classical chess. But if you think about it, if players going to qualify from classical ratings to play in freestyle, and you're looking, you know, if you win, if you don't finish in the bottom two places, you're getting what, 25 grand, I think, or 20 grand or more. Like, it's a lot of money. Like, that's more money than you're going to get for most tournaments. Like, I mean, there's the Grand Swiss, which has a big prize. I guess Grand Chess Tour, although no guarantees you're going to make it there or play all those events. Like, it's a lot of money guaranteed. If you finish in the top four, you're getting 60,000, which is more than you're going to make from any tournament, effectively. So, so I think that in a funny way, also, it might incentivize players to play less and less classical chess, thus, you know, potentially trying to kill classical chess.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm
Interesting
not saying it's
part.
gonna. I'm not saying that's necessarily gonna happen. But I think that players can very easily be incentivized to just not play that much. Which also, again, is then going to devalue the candidates and or the world championship quite significantly.
Do we go back
And
to
the
Ali
last
Reza?
point I want to make, because someone was saying something. I know the games are about to wind down. Or can we go to Ali Reza's game? Maybe
Yeah.
this is.
Yeah. I think that's
The last
probably
one that I was going to make about is when people talk about it only affecting, like, you know, top 10, top 20 in the world. That might be true, but this is the, you know, harsh reality of the situation in chess, which is that you can talk about wanting to benefit everybody, but the reality is chess is not, nor will it ever be, big enough to where anyone outside of, say, the top 30 players in the world are ever going to be making a living from solely playing chess. So for me, I don't really see that as an issue, because that is the reality, and it's not going to change. I mean, people can want to change. You can say you want, you know, to be open, or you want more opportunities for everybody, but that's just never going to happen. The nature of chess is too small of a market. It will never be there. And so I don't really have any like big problem with that. And, you know, it is what it is.
I feel a lot of people don't actually understand that. Like they think that, you know, they get to the top 30, top 20, and they can make a living only out of chess. Not even there you can make a living only out of chess. And then you get the delusional takes where you're like top 100 and you think you can make it only from chess, only from like playing. That's
Yeah,
just,
I mean,
yeah,
I
it's
think.
a strange mentality.
No, I mean, I understand, you know, people want to live in a world where things are a certain way, and I completely understand that, but it's just never going to be like that. Like chess is just not big enough. It will never be big enough. So like you can talk about that all you want, but I think the goal should be, you know, for the people who do make the top 20, top 30 in the world, that the conditions continue to improve, because it's never going to happen for the top 100. It just will never happen. And like that's just a reality. You know, there are many things in the world that you can say you wish they were one way or another, but that's just not how it works. So I don't really yeah. My view is you should do what you can with what we know is proven, which is that like the top 20, 30 in the world make a living, and you try to work off of that to where it helps them, and then maybe it'll filter down eventually. But like I said, I mean, I've been in chess most of my life, and I don't see it happening. I think people need to be realistic, rather than being idealistic, I guess you could say. So yeah, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and it does seem right now, as the games are winding down, that Duda and Nepo will be meeting in the losers finals
No,
with a
I played
ticket
one
to
of them in
meet
the
you.
losers final.
Oh, okay, yeah,
I mean,
semifinals.
whatever,
Yeah.
semantics, same thing, same thing.
Hikaru, I see Julie in the chat is asking the real questions. How many Falcons shirts do you have, or do you just rewear the same one?
Yeah, so I have 4 shirts, but obviously I'm wearing the same shirt. You know, one thing about most chess players is they're pretty superstitious, and because I've worn this shirt and I've done well with it. I mean, I guess yesterday I lost to Magnus, but overall it's been a successful tournament regardless. It's one of those things where I'm not going to change. But I have 4. I have 4 of these shirts for anybody who's wondering.
Okay. Do you think any swindling chances at all?
I mean, Alirez is down a minute on the clock here. I mean, it's Duda at some point, once he gets can he go E4 right away? E4? Yeah, you know, knight F4. Maybe he can just go E4 right away and just get rid of all the pawns. He plays rook B6, rook B5 probably. I mean, yeah, there's no chance here. No chance for a swindle. So, yeah. Yeah, so it's going to be Duda and Nepo. So, I mean, amongst them, what I would say is probably I would prefer to play Duda, just because it would be fun to play someone different. But I assume that Nepo is probably the favorite.
Can fans buy your shirt?
I don't think they can yet. I wouldn't be surprised if it's possible down the road, though. I wouldn't be surprised. So, yeah, I mean, I think this event is good overall. Just looking, I'm gonna go after these games end, by the way, because I kind of want to go relax a little bit. But
Yep.
I think for the fans, this has been fun to watch, is my view. So I'm pretty optimistic. I think the big question as far as chess is, I don't know what the deal is with the Esports World Cup, but definitely my hope is that it's something that is not like, a 2-year thing. It's something that becomes much longer. Actually, I don't even know if it's 2 years, but I assume it is. But it's basically that it's become something that is that's lasting and goes on for many more years, because it could be very, very good for the players as a whole.
If anybody is outside from chess world and doesn't really know how things usually work, how do you anticipate the esports World Cup to look like in terms of, visuals and the atmosphere? How do you see that playing
Yeah,
out?
so I really don't know. As I mentioned yesterday, since the meta these days seems to be to leak things. What I was gonna say is that, I heard some rumor that chess, Fabiano said that the players are gonna be playing on a touchpad in Saudi Arabia, versus with like a keyboard and mouse. I did hear
Touchpad.
that would actually be pretty funny if that happens. I don't think it's gonna happen, but at least that's one of the rumors. But nonetheless, I think that in general, when I look at when I look at upcoming event, I think there are going to be a lot of fans from Saudi Arabia who are there. I don't know exactly what the venue will be like, but it's going to be different. I think for me, one of the big things that I wish was in chess that isn't is fans. I think the lack of fans is another thing. Like, for example, just to use Duda, like, I'm sure if Duda went to every tournament, or he goes out and like the Polish people are cheering him on, that would make a huge difference in the mindset. But when you're playing chess and it feels like you're solitary, you're on your own, like nobody cares what you're doing, it's very, very rough mentally. And I think that having fans there who most likely are going to be like supporting me, supporting other players, that's going to be a good thing. It makes you feel like you're actually doing something worthwhile than just like doing something that nobody really cares about, for lack of a better way of putting it. So I think that from that standpoint, it's going to be really exciting, because it is the one thing that I feel has been missing from chess, or one of the things that I would like to see more in chess is like fan engagement, fan interaction, all this sort of stuff. So I'm hopeful it will be like that. Again, I don't have any like special knowledge or any details, but it's gonna be exciting. So it's gonna be good.
Yeah, and it just seems like it's an upgrade of what happened in Paris,
Yeah,
with
I mean,
the
I think
CCP
Paris was
finals.
good, but I feel like, aim higher. Aim
Aim
higher is my
higher.
attitude. I think it was good to have like the 50 fans there, but I think you can fill bigger stadiums. Not saying like a NBA arena or anything, but like there are bigger venues. So yeah, I think that's the future if you want chess to become more accessible for the fans. I mean, there's always going to be this, this pull between the traditionalists, the purists who want chess to be like it's always been, and those who like see changes being needed. It just depends, but I think that it can only be good. It can only be good. If it doesn't go well, it was worth trying. I mean, there's no harm in trying new things, as I see it. So many things have not been tried in chess. And yeah, it's an experiment, and we'll see how it works out.
Well,
It's going to be an exciting event for sure. Hikaru, we are going to thank you for joining us. We'll wish you good luck for your match
Thank
later
you.
on, and
Yeah.
I guess we'll catch you on the other side of that.
Okay. I'll see you guys later.
See you then. Good luck.
Bye.
Bye. And so we had two 2-0 victories, one from Duda against Alireza and one from Arjun. No, the other way around, from Nepo against Arjun. Christian, we need to work, especially you, on that prediction game.
I guess I got zeroed. Oh my goodness, that's terrible. Yes,
Not
yes.
even a draw from
Not
one of
even
your plays.
not even a draw. Okay. Okay. I'm fired. I'm out of here. I'm firing myself. Yeah, this was terrible. It just goes to show how unpredictable this format is, especially
Yeah.
again with no increment. It's all about how you manage that clock. And it did seem that Alireza was just simply not there today. Like he was in both games. Forget about the position. The position in the first game was great for him, but his clock management was just not there. And despite the fact that he was winning in those last few moves, he got a winning position. He got there, but unfortunately, he just ran out of time. So, yeah, it's all about the clock. and the way that Hikaru already sort of put it forward is that Jan seems to be having a pretty significant advantage against Jan Krzysztof Duda. Nevertheless, Duda has been surprising everybody. We'll see how this one plays out. Let's take a short break before the losers semifinals start. We'll be here with more action in just a few minutes.
Hello and welcome back, everyone, to the semi-final of the losers bracket. It's Jan Nepomniachtchi against Jan Krzysztof Duda, and the winner of this match will go on to take on Hikaru, Christian.
Absolutely, and the way Hikaru put it is, if you make it to the top 3, it's very likely that you're going to make it to the Esports World Cup. So
Even top
this
4,
is a big
he
one.
said, right? Which surprised me. I don't know.
Today he
Did
said
miss?
that if he made it into top 3, almost for sure is probably top 4 qualifies as well.
Yeah.
But if you want to be sure about it, I think you have to win this match if your name is Jan or Jan Krzysztof.
Yeah, top 4 will give the players excellent chances. So this match, a best of only 2, there's a lot on the line here. Jan looks quite, well, Jan, there are 2 Jans. Nepo looks quite relaxed, while Duda looks focused, like we saw him before.
So who do you think is going to win?
Jan
The
Nepomniachtchi.
Jan or Jan with another name next to
I think Jan. Jan full stop.
Okay, Jan full stop. Only Jan. Okay, good. All right.
What's your prediction? Let's see if you can improve on that.
I mean, look, you said Jan Nepomniachtchi. I'll go with Duda. He surprised me. I think he's ready to take down Jan. He's going to show that he's the better Jan.
Let's see it. Let's jump into the game. The players have whizzed through the opening. Christian, what's going on here?
Yeah, so basically C6 was more or less, I wouldn't necessarily call it a forced move, but it was sort of hinting at that because C5 was coming. C5 was coming and you need a way back for the bishop. So that's why C6 was just played. This is the typical Italian, very maneuvery. White decides finally take that bishop and strike in the center, open up diagonals for the 2 bishops. This is it. This is the play right now. And what black is going to try to do most likely is keep the position closed. I would not take on d4, despite the fact that, you know, the engine is saying, you know what, take on d4. I would not do that. And that's kind of the thinking that seems to be Jan Krzysztof Duda's as well. Keep the position closed, and that's why he plays c5.
And now the big question for Nepo, how do you react to that c5 push? You have to react, right? Because the pawn on d4 is under attack. Do you push it to d5?
Yeah, it does seem like you can start by taking with the b pawn. The whole idea behind it is that you're going to take or play d5 first, doesn't really matter, and then you're going to focus your attack via the b file. This is the key target that you're going to focus on, the pawn on b7. In the meantime, most likely, black is going to try to do something on the king side, maybe something like knight h5, knight f4, but, you know, you don't really have a lot of space. That is black's problem in this position. I have all this. Ooh, that's not good. That is actually a strategical mistake. Big mistake, because it's going to be much easier for me to bring something to d4. And I can also start with the knight taking on e5, and that's exactly what he does. You're going to take, I'm going to take back, and then guess what? Your bishops no longer as powerful. You don't have a knight to land on d5. I have a knight, and I'm going to be able to somehow find a way, maybe even knight d7, knight b8, knight c6, knight d4 to get to d4.
It's a long route, but black has time, right? I don't see what white is going to do so quickly. So yeah, this one has turned around quite a bit, and Jan Krzysztof Duda also doing well on the clock. I'm super impressed by what he's doing here today. Okay, he's been helped a little bit by Nepo's decision, but so do you go for the knight maneuver now, or what would you do?
You can definitely do that. I don't think you're in a hurry to do so. Maybe you can even start going knight to h5, knight f4. He takes on b4. This is a bit surprising. What? What?
Maybe
Wait,
giving a pawn?
he just didn't take that pawn back. He was like, okay, you took my pawn. I'm not going to take it back. That's interesting. Okay, so he goes for a completely different setup and concept. And that is, I need to take your pawn on e5. And that's going to at least give me a nice diagonal for this bishop. But at what cost? I mean, look at this pawn on a3. This one is going to do wonders for black's position.
Yeah, and I mean, especially if white, okay, white is really all in on that kingside attack, it looks like.
That's exactly what he's doing. He's trying to go to g7. And all black has to do is find a way to stop it. Easier said than done, because that rook g3 coupled with the action of the bishop is powerful. It is powerful. And what you don't want to do is probably go g6 and defend like that, because then I will find a way to double up, bring the queen in front of the bishop on this diagonal, and deliver the checkmate.
I
Maybe
mean,
something like rook d1, bishop a1, queen c3. That would be my plan if you do go
it's
g6.
so funny that the computer is suggesting to go b5. If I were black, I was like, okay, let me do something to be sure I'm in time to keep everything defended, you know, on the king side. But computer says, not a worry in the world. Let's just play where our pawn majority is, on the queen side.
Is somewhat of a race, and actually even more so what I think it's all about is you go g6. In fact, again, it doesn't look easy. Rook d1, maybe queen somewhere, and then bishop to a1. And now what you have to do is actually not take on c4, but rather play b4, connect the pawns, and also, much more importantly, take away the c3 square from the queen.
I mean, if
Let's
he
see.
finds all this, he will. Wow, he
He played
plays
it.
d5. Duda, an extraordinary form today, but f6, not the top choice.
Not the top choice, but still a very decent one. Rook to
Yeah.
d1, queen to e7. Again, the onus is on you to actually stop me from delivering the promotion. Again, the a pawn is such a tremendous force in this position. So I'm still feeling that Jan Krzysztof has the easier position, and I think this is something that Hikaru mentioned very smartly, and that is you need the flow. You need the easier moves that will get you closer to the finish line and put time pressure on your opponent, clock pressure on your opponent.
Spending a lot of time here, but bishop b4 is not it, because we can take on b3 now and then take on c4. What's stopping us from doing that?
This is a very puzzling move.
Yeah.
I guess he wants to take with a rook, but then I can just simply go a2. Guess
Yeah.
what? You're not taking this a pawn. This a pawn survives. So yeah, knight takes b3. If you take with the queen, also I can take on c4 and then play the move a2. The pawn survives, and as long as the a pawn survives, I think you're in extreme danger of losing this one.
Let's see if bishop b4 can spook Duda, or will he be unbothered, unfazed? I always forget the third one. Unbothered, unfazed.
Moisturized, I don't know.
Okay. And moisturized and take on b3.
I, I don't know. You tell me.
Is it undaunted or something? I don't know. Unbothered, unfazed. Chat should know this stuff. This kind of stuff. This is your chance to shine. I think undaunted. Yeah, ABD agrees with me. So that was the one. Anyway, Jan Krzysztof was bothered and did not take on b3.
No, I take on a1, take on c4. Like, okay. So the idea being that right now, wait a minute. What are your options? This is a double attack, first and foremost. What? Whoa, whoa, whoa. Oh, that's a check. I got excited for a second. I was like, why didn't
You're
he
like,
take the
hey,
rook on
work is
a1?
hanging.
No, I guess rook takes c6. Okay. No, but this is much better news for Jan, because now he can take on a3.
And times are more or less even. He might be back in this game.
He's definitely back. He's still worse. He's definitely still worse. But he's not losing anymore.
But the Black King, could the Black King not end up in some slight trouble if you're not careful?
Can definitely happen. Can definitely happen. It would be much worse if White had the light square bishop. But with dark square bishop, you can still, after knight takes c4, have to worry about maybe even bishop to f8 at some point, right? Try to strike on g7. But the knight coming to e4 sort of dislodges this rook from the g file. So it's safe for black. It's definitely safe for black. Like black is never going to lose this one unless a black swan event happens.
He needs to keep an eye on the clock though. You don't want to drop too far below Nepo in case. I mean, here they still have time, right? Almost 5 minutes is plenty of time. We're deep into the game. And now what? Rook d3, I guess, hit the queen.
Yep. Yeah, rook d3 makes a lot of sense. You do allow queen to a1. Again, you're pawn down. And most likely you will be pawn down. Like, I don't think you're taking the b7 pawn anytime soon. You just simply don't have time. Rook to e3. I can go with the weird, let's say, king to h7, but at least that takes me away from this check.
King h7 is a move that I would never make in a million years. I'd be like, why would I put my king straight into the line of vision?
Yeah.
But yeah, the king, I mean, if I could, I would love to play a move like f6 to f7 at some point, just, plug some holes around the king, but the pawns don't move backwards, as we'll know. So yeah, I'm curious to see his next move. King h7 is the top computer choice, but I'd be shocked if he plays it.
Well, the thing is, the good news for Nepo is that, first of all, he's up an extra minute on the clock, but also that he knows exactly what he needs to do. He needs to make a draw in this position. Like, he's not even thinking of potentially trying to fight for a win, unless Jan Krzysztof Duda goes down to his last minute, and then, you can take these type of decisions to complicate matters, allow a worse position, but at least play for the clock. For the moment, he knows exactly what he needs to do. He needs to equalize. Rook to d3.
And now where does the queen go?
Probably to c6. Let's exchange the queens, right? I would go to c6. I would go to c6. It just feels very natural.
I mean, how ambitious would you still be as black? Would you think, okay, make a draw is fine, or would you feel, okay, I've got an extra pawn?
I feel like I'm still playing for two results, a win or a draw, but I need to speed things up. Like, I don't want to allow myself to go down to the last minute, because then nobody knows what's going to happen. Queen c3. Okay, so basically at this point, this is somewhat of a proposition for a draw, because I can take rook d7, and then you have to defend both b7 and bishop f8. And
the question is, will Nepo try to play with an extra minute?
That's a good question.
Try and play this endgame for a long time?
I would just go rook to e8, give up the b7 pawn, and then just move the knight back and make a draw. b5 is asking for too much right now. But maybe he's going to go for it. Maybe he's going to go for b5.
He shouldn't think too long, right?
That's the problem. That is the problem. He goes for it. Wow.
He does go for it. So bishop f8, how will he meet that?
I think the idea is to, in fact, give the g7 pawn and then go behind the pawn with a rook and try to promote. That's why he goes rook b7 first. Good move by Nepo. Very good
But
move.
the pawn is defended, so am I not in time to somehow step out of this? I mean, how do I even
Doesn't
do it?
seem like it. Doesn't seem like
If I
it.
go king g8?
Bishop b4. And he played it.
It's on the board.
You're losing the b5 pawn. That's
so now I think we will see not yet.
Bishop c3,
yet.
bishop c5.
Yeah.
He wants to go rook e5, basically. Rook b5, rook e5. f4, taking away the e5 square for the rook. Nice. King g3. Rook b6, even nicer. there's a funny move right now. You can actually take this pawn, give up the piece, and go rook c4.
I'm gonna say we're not gonna see that, but who knows?
Probably not. Probably not. But you know, it does make some sense. Yeah, he goes for it.
Oh, he goes for it. Wow.
He goes for it. And now the B pawn just runs down, and at some point you're going to have to give up the bishop pawn c5 for the B pawn.
But what if I play rook c7 and bishop d6? I'm not
You're
in
not in
time,
time. You're not in time. Yeah,
Mm.
because I control the e5
That's
square.
nice. Very nice. Under a minute for Duda, but do you think Nepo's gonna... Oh,
I
he
don't know.
still has that extra pawn. What am I talking about?
I don't know
was
who's
like
playing.
3 versus 3.
Who's playing for a win? Yeah, who's playing for a win?
I
It
mean, they
must be
still,
Duda.
even Duda has plenty of time, right? A minute
Yeah.
50 for this.
Yeah,
I think they will just repeat, surely.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, this one looks very close to a draw.
Or maybe Duda will play. Who knows?
Well, Duda can definitely play, but Duda does not have the time. That's the problem for him, right? Nepo has the time and doesn't have the pawn.
But 1 minute 45 is still enough to set some traps, right? And see.
Yeah. The thing is, Nepo knows.
Mm.
Nepo will not mess this one up. There's no way. It's too easy. It's too easy. If the pawns would be on the other side, like maybe one column over to the left, then maybe you would consider having some way to invade via the other side with the king. That's not the case.
And with this one pawn coming off, I think this is... I was gonna say almost a draw for, but it's still a little bit annoying when the king is cut off. Maybe actually you still have to be maybe very careful.
Yeah, good move. Cannot allow the king to go to h4.
That was the only move, actually.
Yeah,
Wow.
it became a little bit strange, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just I'm keeping you locked
Hmm.
on the 6th rank like that. When you go rook f5, I just exchange, and otherwise you cannot push the pawn.
Yeah, there is simply no way to make progress here.
If you go g3, I go rook b3 immediately. And I attack the pawn.
1 minute. Duda needs to be careful not to play with fire too much
I completely
while
agree.
pressing
Yeah.
for a win here.
If Nepo goes down to his, I mean, if Duda goes down to his last 30 seconds, and then we get rook versus rook, I think Nepo plays for a win.
I think so, because especially what we discussed, that this 4th place is so important.
Okay.
But now we're gonna get bare kings, nothing left to play for. Well, that was a hard-fought draw for sure. I guess the players will only get a very short break before the next one, or maybe they'll start immediately. I don't know. We see neither of them are getting up. What is
Very
that
short
behind?
break.
What is that behind Jan on the wall?
I have no idea. It's just like some weird horns. He has them for a long time. I think it's a Dota thing.
Okay.
An esports thing. So, you know, now he's part of an org, so
Yeah.
definitely looking good. Looking good. Looking threatening, very dangerous. He has a very
It does
dangerous
look somewhat intimidating. I mean,
his
it's funny, right? You've got Nepo with his whatever they are, horns or swords, and you've got Duda in his attic. It's really a clash of styles.
in his attic with his nerdy glasses on, you know, just looking like an academic. Nepo looking anywhere, nowhere
It
close
was
to
a
being an
very
academic.
short break, by the way. The players have started game 2. If there is a winner in this game, that will be the player to advance to play Hikaru in the next one. And what do we make of the opening so far?
Yeah, this is a very typical Catalan. This new idea of queen to c1. Don't ask me what the difference is between queen c1 and queen c2, because to be honest, nobody knows. But they seem to be playing it. They do play this queen to c1, maybe to keep an eye on bishop f4, queen e3, find a place for the queen there. But yeah, this is in vogue right now.
A
It's just a lot of
fashionable
theory.
line. both players playing very fast. We saw Jan Nepomniachtchi get some new energy, had a quick chocolate bar in between games there. There is a lot on the line. I mean, really, if you know, Hikaru talked about the top four. A win in this game will guarantee a top four finish. And you
Top
were
three.
highlighting that top three.
Top
What am
three,
I
yeah.
saying?
Top three, yeah.
Oh, I was completely, top three.
Yeah, I think this
That's
is
my
why
bad.
it's so important, because if you make it top three, you're
Yeah.
absolutely well, it seems like you might be guaranteed to make it to the
Mhm.
finals based on the points that you're getting from that. So it's a big match, because going to the esports World Cup. First of all, Duda, I have not heard him being signed with anybody, but if he makes it to the world's to the esports World Cup,
Somebody will
I'm sure
sign
somebody
him.
will sign him. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's for Nepo. Obviously, he already has an org, but for Duda, I'm sure this would be big.
Yeah, he seems relaxed though. He seems in the zone. He's been playing fantastic chess today. I mean, the match against Alireza was super impressive. At the first game against Nepo, he was pressing hard. So let's see what he can do here with the white pieces. Is that pawn on a4 going to be a weakness in the long term, or can you secure it with b5?
Probably you will be able to secure it with b5. So I'm envisioning perhaps a trade on d5, like c takes d5, c d5, and then this b pawn comes down the board and try to break a white's pawn structure on that side. For the moment, it's just utilized as a way to gain more space on that side. This queen on a4 completely shielded from the attack of the knight coming to b3 by having this pawn on a4 control that. So for the moment, it's an asset.
So let's see Jan Krzysztof in the tank right now. I mean, where do you play? Do you play in the center of the board? I see h4 being suggested. What's
Yeah.
h4 about?
H4 in the Catalan is always about just passing the move, more or less. Passing the move and looking a little bit threatening towards the kick. It's a very typical move, actually. It's a very typical move, just taking more space on that side, maybe dreaming that at some point in the end game you're going to be able to play h5, and that's going to take away the exit of the king via h7. That's one idea. But again, it's one of those mysterious moves.
Yeah, and this one actually remind me, if this one ends in a draw, we go straight to Armageddon, right?
That's
I
right.
guess so.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
So we'll see. Will we get our first Armageddon of the day? What are your predictions in the chat? Let us know. I have a feeling it's gonna end decisively one way or another.
Who did I go with? I went with Jan Krzysztof, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Jan Krzysztof.
Are you
Okay.
still feeling good about your prediction?
I have to. I'm committed at this point, right? I'm committed at this point.
I mean, if you know, if Nepo wins this match, then you kind of have to pick Nepo for the final, right? For the reverse jinx.
Right, right. Exactly. I'm my predictions are flawless so far. So why not?
We'll see what happens with that. For now, Nepo breaking on the queen side with b6. Is this a pawn you want to take, or you want to try and keep that
You
pawn anchored on
probably
c5?
have to take it, right? Like, because if you open up the bishop, I mean, that's problems. You definitely don't want to move this pawn from d4. The pawn on d4 is tremendously placed, not only because it supports the knight coming in the center, but also because it just stops me from completely destroying you on the queen side. Bishop takes b2. Activate this bishop as black, and you're going to be in a winning predicament. But that's not the case. Queen to e2. He says, if you take, I'm going to take with, most likely, my guess is with a rook. Rook takes e5. And he wants to get that knight on e5. I'm still not seeing white losing this one. Like, I'm not seeing white, and to be honest, I'm not really seeing black losing this one either.
But the game is still young. Give it some time. We only moved 21. I mean, you talked about the bishop on f6, right? If the bishops somehow come to life, right now they're both not doing much.
Well, now you can do something, right, with this rook b5
Mhm.
idea. And he finds it, he spots it. Jan seems to have a better understanding of these positions. Something tells me that he's analyzed this. Let's not forget he had a huge clash against Magnus in the World Championship match. And guess what? Magnus was playing a lot of Catalan. I
Mm.
think he knows, and I think he knows the Catalan very intimately. And we're seeing that right now.
Yeah, and it is showing not just on the board, but also on the clock as Duda is just dropping below 6 minutes. And I mean, Jan is a speed demon, right? He was the fourth player that Hikaru mentioned outside himself, Magnus, and Alireza, you know, who can make a difference in these final seconds. So I'm starting to get a little bit worried here for Duda, I have to say.
Completely agree. Completely agree. Right now, if we had any sort of imbalance in this game, it's at this point. It's at this point, and you can sense it from the body language, from the time expenditure. Right now, Jan Krzysztof is in somewhat of a difficult situation.
And what should he do here?
Perhaps rook c2. You really want to, even though it's such a difficult move to make, because you're obviously agreeing to the fact that you need to make some concessions and you have to play passively to try to defend this position with rook to c2. Not an easy one. Let's see if he goes for it. He might be even thinking about taking on b5 and try to exchange pieces. Yep. And
That's
that's a
what he
mistake.
does.
That's a mistake because right now I'm getting my pawn to b4. You remember when I was telling you that maybe the b pawn is going to come to b4 and disrupt white's pawn structure? That's what's going to happen right now if you take with the pawn. I think he's going to take with the pawn. Play b4 next. That's the
Takes with the
commentator's curse right
queen.
there.
Wow.
Bishop f1?
Okay, we get a bunch of non-ideal moves.
No, but this is problems. After c5, this is problems. I take,
And
take,
now the
take,
bishop pair.
take. Yep.
The bishop pair has fully come to life, and this is going to be a big defensive task ahead of Duda. I mean, I'm not even sure, even
This is
with
just
best
losing.
play, if
This
yeah.
is just losing. Yeah, no, this is just losing. You're a pawn down and you're not taking the pawn on a4. Knight d6, bishop c6. I guess you want to go bishop to b5. We exchange that. I take on c5, and then I just bring my king all the way to c6. You're completely lost. Completely lost. This is it. I mean, I actually don't see a way to come back from this.
It all happened so quickly. I mean, this
Eh,
taking the rook on b5 was start of the problems, then bishop f1.
This is
There
what
was
he's going to go for. Yeah. King f1. Okay. King f1. That's interesting. I was expecting him to go for this bishop to knight to c3. Try to eliminate the last two pawns.
the problem he has is, I mean, at this point, this endgame with an extra pawn, even if the queenside pawns come off, you can play it for so long, and
No,
he's
but you know what the problem
3
is?
minutes then. What is the problem?
The problem is that I'm not taking this
I
pawn.
didn't.
I'm going bishop d4. I'm trapping
You
your
trapped the knight.
your knight.
That's very sneaky.
Yeah. That's the big problem. I'm trapping the knight, and then I just go e5, and then not allowing you to get close with your king.
But if I go king d2 and knight c3,
Now I
this
start
pawn is
picking up these other
hanging.
pawns. Yeah. This
Oh,
is
what a... That's
this is
really
bad
nice,
news.
actually. Yeah. Bad news for your prediction as well. Sorry that I keep rubbing it in. I'm looking forward to, I mean, if Nepo wins this and then, you know, last match. So, Christian, your prediction. Okay, Nepo, no choice.
Yes.
And Nepo, well, he is just winging the king now. White is pretty helpless. I mean, you need to keep the king out of g4, so I guess you play king e2, king f3, or what?
Yeah. I'm not even sure exactly what you're doing. e5. Okay, wait. This is somewhat strange because right now, okay, no, wait. Wait a
I'm
minute.
surprised that Jan is rushing with this.
He's completely botching this one out. Like bishop d4, king d3. I'm trying to get my knight back. Bishop f2 has to be played at that point. But then maybe I can go h5, you take my pawn. And I feel like this a pawn might be creating something, right? At least some counter chances.
But Jan is finding the best path forward.
Yeah, but this one is not
For
that clear.
human, it's tricky. Yeah, for computer, it seems the computer is saying no problem. But for human, this one is far from
He found the best move, probably.
obvious. But yeah, if he gets these 3 pawns, he can probably even at some point sacrifice the bishop even for the a pawn.
I mean, bishop b8 being the only move in this position. I don't know.
That
I don't
is
know. I'm starting.
crazy.
Okay, knight d4. This is completely fine, right? Well, not completely fine. I wouldn't say that. King g5, knight d4. Bishop b6. So the idea was to go knight d4 first, so that bishop to b6. Now I go knight to f3, and I stop you from getting
It's
to my
not
pawn.
easy figuring out those details in a blitz game.
It's
But
impossible.
now g7 is under attack.
Yeah, but now I take this one, and the h pawn is going to be so powerful. So powerful.
Yeah, just over 2 minutes on the clock for Jan Krzysztof. But why can't you take this pawn?
Because then I take both of your pawns.
Oh, and then like yesterday, that was
Yes.
nicely spotted.
Yes, that's why he went bishop a7. Oh man, that's a cold shower. And the thing is, you cannot access the g1 square. This is key. If you try to do the same thing, you don't have the g1 square with the bishop on a7.
That's actually really instructive.
Yeah, yeah,
Very, very instructive moment.
yeah. So now he's busted. I think he realizes the fact that he's busted.
A heartbreaking moment for Jan Krzysztof Duda, who played such a brilliant match against Alireza, but it looks like he's going to stumble here at the final hurdle. For all of you asking, is Hikaru playing today? What's happening? Yes, Hikaru, it looks like he will play Jan Nepomniachtchi for a chance to play Magnus Carlsen again tomorrow. And that will happen right after this match. I guess there will be a short 5-minute break, and then Hikaru will play next.
Yeah, h4, knight f6, king f3. You're basically never accessing this g1 square. You're completely busted.
That bishop on a7, an absolute beast. The h-pawn is just running, and yeah, heartbreak for Duda with under a minute. You know, he realizes this one is gone. And he'll be kicking himself, I think, especially because of the first game.
Heartbreaking. Heartbreaking, yeah. And look at the clock. Look at that domination on the clock. 5 minutes, 42 seconds against 44 seconds. Absolute masterclass of how to handle the Catalan with the black pieces by Jan Nepomniachtchi secures a meeting with Hikaru in the losers finals.
That is going to be a big rematch, right?
A huge rematch. Obviously, Hikaru dominated 3-0, did not allow Nepo any chance in their initial encounter. But this one is best out of 2. Jan will try to get his revenge, but we know Hikaru is in great shape, and I'm sure he wants that rematch with Magnus in the finals. And I guess I have to pick Nepo at this point, right?
Yeah, you do. I'm sorry, Christian. You have no choice.
I guess, look, let's go,
You
Nepo.
guys heard it here. I'll go for Hikaru. Christian
Yes,
will pick Nepo.
We're all in on Nepo.
We are going to go on a very short 5-minute break, 5-minute tops, possibly less. And we'll be back for the match between Hikaru and Jan Nepomniachtchi. The winner will face Magnus Carlsen tomorrow, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with all the action. Welcome back, everyone, to the final of the losers bracket. It is Hikaru against Jan Nepomniachtchi. And what are the players battling for? They are battling for the chance to take on Magnus Carlsen tomorrow for a shot at winning the Chessable Masters. Christian, how are you seeing this matchup? Do you think that Hikaru's rest will give him a slight edge over Nepo, who had to play 2 matches already?
Well, that's an interesting balance to talk about, right? You get the rest, but you don't have necessarily the momentum. You do have the energy, but not momentum. This is what Jan should be banking on. The fact that he just won quite confidently, especially in that final game against Jan Krzysztof Duda. At the same time, look, Hikaru just dismantled Jan in the previous day with a 3-0 score. It's very difficult psychologically to come back from that. So I would still give it to Hikaru in terms of confidence levels. He knows he made it to Saudi Arabia. So definitely this one is going to be interesting for sure.
As we zoom in on the pineapple for some good mojo, we got the double Hikaru there. We see the forehead, the 5 head. I don't know what's going on. Okay, we are ready. We've seen everything that's going on. We don't see the game yet,
Oh,
or
there.
do we?
I think I see something. I think I see something. Yep. Here we go.
Okay.
We just got a game and B3. We got the B3 warrior
Surprise,
rejoining us.
surprise!
Yes, with a knight h4, the same idea. And
Mhm.
finally, it seems like perhaps Nepo has had some time to prepare for this, or did he? He goes for g6, bishop g2. We're expecting bishop g7. I'm not 100% sure what he's thinking about. Oh, wait, never mind. Bishop g7, bishop takes d5. What? Wait a minute. Is this already some... I think this might
How?
already be problematic. I'm not saying worse, but already you've lost some tempes, like bishop f5, bishop d7, bishop e6 to defend the pawn on d5. This is a victory out of the opening phase for Hikaru, as in he won the opening phase. Obviously, the game is still going, but confidently so, I would say. And Jan must be like, what in the world is this b3? How am I supposed to fight against this b3?
Did he also, Hikaru played b3 in the first match against Nepo all the time as well, or?
He's only played b3.
He's
I don't think he's touched any other piece or pawn on move one in this competition. I think
And
he just
it's worked. I mean, did he even get a single bad position? I can't remember.
one bad position, the first game, the first b3 against Grishchuk.
Okay, yeah, I wasn't there. I missed that one. But so one bad game, and for the rest, it's been working a treat. It looks like Hikaru has a small edge out of the opening, small edge on the board, small edge on the time, and those bishops you're highlighting
That's a double
are
fianchetto.
double fianchetto. Okay, the question is, we have a lovely position, but how do we continue here?
Probably the simple way would be just to go queen d2, rook d1, and then start looking at the weaknesses. And what I'm talking about the weaknesses, I'm not talking about the weaknesses in terms of pawns, but rather squares. And I would go something like knight a4, take on d5, go knight c5, things of that nature. Hikaru says, you know what, I don't need to develop my queen and make the connection between the rooks. Knight d4, targeting the bishop on e6.
If you're black, I guess you want to save that bishop?
You have to save the bishop. Yeah, you have to save the bishop somehow. Can I take that pawn? Is that a pawn? Is that a pawn or is not a pawn? Can I take it?
Curious.
Probably not, right? Yeah, I guess not. You take and then bishop. You have these two bishops set up as a kebab situation on the d file. Probably
So
not a good
Hikaru
idea.
takes once, but he will not take again. Instead, queen d2. Looking at the pawn on a5, but also simply connecting the rooks, looking down at h6 as well. The computer now gives zeros, but from a practical point of view, I still really like Hikaru's position.
Yeah, no, for sure. Again, it's all about the weaknesses, right? At some point, you might be thinking, hey, I need to defend this pawn on d5 somehow. The way to do so would be with e6, but e6 just entombs this bishop, and he plays it. Entombs this bishop on d7. Yeah, I was expecting it. At least from a practical perspective, you feel the need to play the move e6. But this is the problem right now. I'm exchanging the dark square bishop, and then I'm going to be able to utilize the weakness of your light square bishop behind the pawns.
So do you take on g7 to get rid of the bishops?
Absolutely. Get rid of the bishops, especially with this pawn already on h6. I'm going to be able to start looking at potentially hitting up that h6 square.
So let's see. Hikaru thinking for what feels like the first time in this game. If he doesn't take on g7, okay, now he does take a3, the knight gets chased back, and now eyeing up the a-pawn, looking to double, triple stack. Is
Oh,
that
yeah.
the goal?
That's
The
the triple
famous
stack
triple
right there.
stack.
That's the triple stack right there. Not hitting anything, so the triple stack is kind of useless for the moment. But it will become very useful once I go b4, b5. The
Yeah, I
legendary
like
triple
it.
stack.
The
Yes.
legendary. So B4, yeah, apparently it's not just called the triple stack.
No, it has to be legendary.
Legendary is part of the name.
Yeah.
Do we start with B4 or do we get the triple stack with, I don't know, Queen C2?
I'm not sure. The thing is, again, the triple stack is not really that useful right now because,
Yeah.
for example, if you go Queen C2, I can go Knight D4.
Mm.
Take, and your triple stack doesn't really do much, right?
Mm.
Like if you take, and you cannot really
Yeah,
give
suddenly I'm
away the
even under
queen.
pressure. Mm-hmm.
I would need a triple stack with the rook in front of the queen, but that takes some time. So something like rook c2 followed by queen c1, but nah, that's too long. Too long.
Yeah, so okay, E4, pawn push in the middle of the board.
Push the p. b6,
And
okay. Get back. Go back as fast as possible. I don't know. Get. Is he gonna go back? Is the question.
would you rather play white or black here?
I would still prefer to be white, but I'm understanding that there's some weaknesses in my position as well. I still don't see a way. Well, there could be some difficulties if you are forced to put a pawn on a4, because I'm imagining this bishop in the endgame. If these four pawns are getting exchanged, the a4 and b3 pawns are going to be much more exposed than the b6 and a5 pawns. You cannot attack them with the bishop, and I can with mine. So that's the one thing all the way in the endgame that I'm thinking about could be problematic.
It's very, yeah, very instructive. So if we want to try and avoid that, well, for now, Nepo is thinking. It's not easy, right, to find. You can play a move like Queen E7, that one move threat hitting the pawn, or knight E5 looks, a knight E4, so it looks kind of natural, but who's gonna benefit from the trades?
So they take queen e3. Okay. To be honest, I do think that right now the players, perhaps both of them, realize the fact that this one most likely will be ending in a draw. Most likely will be ending in a draw. I don't see a clear path forward for either side. Like, for example, bishop takes c4, you take on c2. Oh, rook c7. Okay, that's a good move. That's a good move. Putting some pressure.
But what's
Obviously,
the idea if black takes on D3?
I take your rook
Oh,
on
the
a8.
rook is hanging.
Yeah. I take the rook on a8.
This bishop on G2.
Finally does something. Yeah,
I
no.
know.
It's
Okay, so Hikaru's still putting some pressure here. The question is, though, do we have a threat?
Not really. And that's why perhaps I have enough time to get my king back to e7. Defend this bishop on d7. So you hit the nail on its head. There is no threat. The rook on c7 looks very nice and very beautiful, but it doesn't actually do much actively for the moment. You cannot take on d7 because you lose the rook on c1. So this is the battle right now. What I do like, keep an eye on the clock. 5 minutes for Nepo, 6 minutes, creating some separation. Hikaru.
The question is, can he create any pressure on the board? Material is completely even. I mean, you can say that Hikaru's bishop on e4 right now is superior to the bishop on e7, but is that really enough? I mean, the black king, as you're highlighting, is going to get active real fast here.
Yeah, that's probably not going to lead to much. King to e8, king to d8 next, and so on and so forth. This one looks somewhat simple.
Yeah. And I mean, the time advantage is not enough here, I think, to create some problems. So I suspect the first game of this match will end peacefully, which will be, I think, a great result for Nepo. First of all, he was black in game one. And as you said, the last time they met, he lost all 3 games. So to stop the bleeding, I think he'll be very relieved to do that.
Not only that he lost all 3 games, but he didn't touch the ball in any of them. Like he was really on the back end, got worse positions out of the opening, didn't get anywhere close to a positive result. And right now, finally, he manages to neutralize Hikaru's B3.
But
Tough.
I'm surprised actually that Hikaru went for rook a7. I would not want to give like the c file, but it tells me that Hikaru is still playing for something, right?
The one thing you can do is just go rook a8 and make a draw.
That's a good point.
I think it's time to.
I hope he
to pull the
does that,
brakes.
because I think any other move, and you're playing a little bit with fire, right?
I agree. Let's pull the brakes. Let's pull the brakes. Don't worry about it. Just go rook a8. Let's make a draw. It's time. It's time. We don't need to.
Especially with Hikaru now dropping below on the clock.
Precisely. Yeah. Especially with the white pieces, you don't want to lose. Like this is one thing that you really don't want to do, because then it becomes twice as difficult to win with black. And let's not forget, this is not a 4-game match, but a 2-game match. So whoever strikes is going to have a huge advantage. Just go rook a8. Rook a8, exchange
What is he
rooks, make a
thinking
draw.
about for so long? I really wonder.
Let's see if he goes for it.
Maybe Jan offered a draw. Is that why he could be thinking for so long?
Can you offer a draw?
I have no idea. I don't know.
I don't think they would offer a draw. No, probably not. Okay, but
then, I
he's
mean,
thinking
Hikaru
of...
has been thinking for a minute and a half. Like,
come on, let's not let's not get there. Let's not get down to the last 2 minutes something, because that's problems.
What is going on?
Rook a6. Wow. He goes against what we thought would be best with rook a8 and rook a6, but this opens up the possibility for rook c3, and we get this trade. I don't know, Fiona.
I think if he wanted to play, it was fine, but I think he spent so much time on that decision. So let's hope he does not. I mean, things are still under control, but yeah, I'm a little bit surprised, I have to say, by his decision.
They are, yeah. Things are still under control. Yeah, king c7 now. Give a check and then probably do the same, right?
Maybe just repeat here, yeah?
Yeah.
But what do you do after king c8?
The same thing. Rook a6.
I can never go to b7. That bishop, I keep forgetting about the bishop on the long diagonal.
Yep. The bishop is good. Bishop controls a lot of squares. Also controls this g2 square. Yeah, rook.
Very good point.
Rook a6, rook b7. Both of them pretty much lead to the same place.
And that place is a repetition of moves. Will we see the draw here? Yeah, I think now the time has come. Hikaru also is making a face of, okay.
Of disinterest.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
And there we go. Draw agreed. Okay, so first game ends in a draw. In the next one, which will start, I think, pretty much right away, Hikaru will be black. And well, as Christian mentioned, it is a best of 2. So the main task for both players here is not to lose the game. If we see another draw, we go to Armageddon. I wouldn't mind, we haven't seen any Armageddon today. A little, I always find the bidding process especially interesting to see how low are the players willing to go.
I still cannot believe that both Alireza and Hikaru chose 6 minutes 19 seconds.
I know.
Like,
Such
what was
a
that all
random
about?
number.
Like, people tend to overlook mind control, but that must have been somewhat of a mind control situation. Like what? How exactly do you pick 619?
I really don't know. I mean, the players, I think we had them on camera as well. They were both laughing when they found out they had bid the same time.
Yeah.
Okay, we get another Gioco Piano, and this one looks oddly familiar, Christian.
We've seen this so many times, right? The queen comes to b3, the bishop comes to a3 for whatever reason or something along those lines, and then yeah,
The
this
knight goes to b8.
knight b8, c6, queen a2. We've seen this.
Bishop g4 at some point. What was it?
I think it was bishop g4, right? Or maybe the knight. Oh no, never mind. This is a bit different.
Maybe
d5.
Nepo. I think maybe Nepo deviated.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Anyway, rook e1. What did Hikaru say about this opening? He said something like that.
He says something along the lines of the new generation keeps pounding the same ideas. They're not afraid to keep going with the same lines, and that's because Alireza played it 3 times, I believe.
Yeah.
Played exactly the same line 3 times, and he said like the older generation, the one which Nepo is a part of, would probably shift things every single game. So we'll see how this one plays out.
Yeah, I wonder if Nepo looked at this, right? Because he must be aware that Hikaru played this. Did they play it in their first match? Do you remember?
I don't think they played this in the first match.
Okay, so let's see. Hikaru, both players are playing quite quickly. I think both players might not remember the exact position, but for sure they are familiar with the ideas. What's the black idea? Is that knight gonna reroute via f8 and g6? Are we gonna play on the king side?
Try to go for f4, and whenever you go g3, obviously I will be able to take advantage of the light squares. Now, I do really like the fact that you already got your d5 in, so you have full control in the center. I'm liking this position for black. I think Hikaru is in great shape right now. Allowing this d5, this is something that we haven't seen before, and I don't really see the plan for white. Like, okay, you have all this space on the queen side, but what exactly do you do with it? Do you go b5, a6? What is it? I'm not 100% sure what the plan is for white.
Yeah, but the question is, what is our plan? The bishop dropped back to f8, so our center is nice and solid. Are we gonna go knight h5? Are we gonna? I mean, what? How do we continue?
You do have to. So this is the tension, right? This is the
Yeah.
tension that's playing a
Yeah, the
huge role
pawn
right
would be
now.
hanging.
If
So
you go knight
knight
h5, you lose the pawn on
yeah.
d5. So how do you do that? Maybe knight b8. Funny looking move, yeah, just to go for this knight h5.
Again.
Why not? Yeah, I mean, you took away your square from the knight on f8. So where else can you go? Or maybe just b6. Is that something that you would even consider? b5 or b6? Let's say you take. Who has the advantage on this side, on the queen side?
I'm not sure, honestly.
Like if you go here, I just go here, queen d6, and then at some point I will start continue to push in the center, maybe c5 and d5.
It's funny, the queen on a7, it's not so clear what is the queen doing there, right? As long as b6 is defended.
Yeah, b6 is protected by the knight on d7. Tough moment. Tough as in you need to pick a plan and you need to make a decision. And that's why Hikaru is contemplating alongside the ceiling fish. What do you do? b6, b5, what is it? What's the next? b5, there we go. Here we go.
That was the top choice, right? I think the computer's top choice.
Top choice.
So well invested time well spent by Hikaru. If you're Nepo, do you take on b6? Well,
yep.
he does answer that question.
Take.
Now what? Take.
Yeah, how do you do
Not
it?
an easy position to play, right? For either side.
No. Not an easy position to play. Again, and I've been struggling with this question for a while now. What's White's plan? What is White's plan? I don't see it. Like, do you want to go to f5? I don't think you do, because then I just simply kick you out with g6. If you don't do knight f5, and even if you do, like, you only have a knight there. A knight is not going to be able to do the job. I'm struggling to find moves for
Not
Jan.
just you, Christian. Jan is also struggling. He's been in the tank for a while.
Rook d1.
Rook d1. I mean, looks so natural, but is given a question mark.
Well, now I can actually go b5. So he wanted to go b5 already, but now it's an even better version because you don't have the pawn on a5 anymore. So that means you're not controlling b6. I go b5, rook a8, knight b6, knight a4. And I'm getting somewhere.
Hey, let's go. And
Yep.
Hikaru spots it immediately. I mean, Hikaru is so familiar, I think, with this opening. I think his prep strategy for this event has worked out really well, you know. He's played the same openings over and over, and even though his opponents knew, they haven't been able to prove much.
That's right. That's right. I'm not really sure what this rook d8 is. Obviously, Nepo will love to get a draw right now. I think he understands the fact that he's worse. Knight to b6, rook 8 is coming.
Yeah,
No, this one
very
is looking good.
unpleasant position for Jan. He just, I think, hasn't been able to find the best plan, which is, of course, easy for me to say when we couldn't even with the engine figure out what is the best plan for White. But I guess here it comes, rook a8, knight a4.
Yeah, whichever way you want to do it. Knight a4 first or
You
rook
can go
a8.
knight a4 first.
Both of them work because once you take on a4, I go rook a8 now. And then I'm creating this beautiful passer, the juicer on the side.
So, Hikaru thinking time's very even in this game. Very, very even. Okay, starts with rook e8, which I don't think that was really a question mark. We retain most of the advantage. But what? He goes back again.
They're playing a cat and mouse game. He's like, okay, I'm going to see. Do you want the draw? Nepo says, yes, I want the draw. And Hikaru says, nope, not this time. Maybe next time. He did it twice already, right? This rook a8, rook
Yeah.
d8. Dance. And now d4. Okay.
I mean, judging by how many question marks we're seeing, I think it really tells us how complex and difficult to play this position is. But developments are good for Hikaru, which is all that we care about. Jan now has to answer a big question. What do you do? Do you take the bishop? Do you take the pawn?
Well, this is a good position right now. And this is the
Yeah.
perfect moment to strike with this d4. Because after bishop c1, it just feels like this bishop is not ready to meet the energy of this bishop on f8 towards the pawn on b4. I think you're losing material right now. I actually think you're just, I don't want to say busted, but you're getting very close to that. Bishop b2 no longer saves you. I take, and take on d3. You're not in time. You're losing a pawn.
Let's
This
go. I mean,
This is
how did
material up right now.
this is going to win a pawn? I don't even know how Hikaru did that. Like this game, I'll be honest with you, is just way over my head with all the maneuvering. But you know, after a bit of maneuvering, suddenly we're winning a pawn. So life is good.
Juicer up. I mean, we definitely want that.
So queen b3.
Yeah, you just take, and knight a4, kick the queen out, and then rook to d4. There's no way to defend the pawn on b4.
Very nice technique by Hikaru. Jan down to 5 minutes in a very difficult position, down a pawn. Yeah, if Hikaru can hold his nerve, he will take this one.
Yeah. No, it's gonna come down to the clock, of course. I mean, this is not over by any means, right? It's just a juicer after all. But this is good chance. This is good chance right now. Rook a7, kicking the queen out, so you don't get bishop takes e5 anymore. Good move.
And where does the queen go? b1. Yeah, this is again being kicked back.
Yeah, it's still not, again, still not over. Still, you have to prove it. But
Mm.
the one way to prove it is to at some point start pushing the pawns, like b4, c5. Try to get the initiative going on the queen side. That's the key. At the same time, whenever you do so, knight d2, knight c4 is coming. Queen e8, good move, freeing up this bishop and still staying connected with the pawn on e5. Great move by Hikaru.
So if you're Jan, do you play like knight d3, knight f5? Try to it goes for the central push. But
And this is the idea, keeping the queen on e8 so that you get this rook takes c4, knight g3, take, that's two juicers, rook e7. I mean, that's two pawns.
yeah, because c6 is great. But what happens?
Bishop
Can I not
e7.
take with the bishop? Ah,
Yeah,
knight
knight
f5.
f5. He's looking at bishop f8, knight takes h6, and then this
Mhm.
pawn on. Well, let's take this this pawn for Nepo, but still, yeah, you're playing with a pawn down basically, and this is
And
such.
what a pawn.
This is the white peepo, the very
Yeah.
famous white peepo.
Do you think the people could decide the game here?
It's gonna be decisive. It's yeah.
Under
No.
4 minutes now for Jan. Why hasn't he taken yet? Okay, he does take on c6.
Yeah.
And we see Hikaru take a sip of whatever that was, lemonade. Hikaru's looking locked in,
Well, he has
focused, and
the white
confident.
peepo and the extra minute and a half, and
What
that's
more
quite
could he wish
important.
for? Yeah.
But don't hurry. Don't hurry because that is going to go is going to be met by ooh, nice. Defending the light squares, especially this f7 square. And there's no more queen b3. Knight d3, stopping b4. Now maybe try to do something with this knight, even though at least that's what I would do. Try to remove this knight from a4, go to c4.
I like that idea because the knight isn't doing very much. I mean, if we could get the knight to c3, but I'm not sure. Maybe, yeah. Can I do something like the problem with queens? I was looking at queen c4, but then I always walk into the knight attacking me. Knight h5. Why does the computer not like this so much?
That's why.
Ah.
You still have queen e2, defending, doing the triangle and defending that, jumping over the knight, right? Beautiful with queen e2. But that's the only way. That's the only way. The idea being that if you go b4, I go g4, I remove this queen from the defense of f7, and then I hit you twice. I hit the knight on a4 and the pawn on f7. So that's the key. That's why queen e2 is crucial right now.
Chess is hard.
Yeah, yeah.
Chess is really, really hard.
Say that twice for the people in the back. Yeah, no, that's definitely true. Chess is very difficult. Queen to e2 only
And
move.
I mean, this could come down once again to a time scramble with both players now ticking down towards 3 minutes.
Yeah, I think he's gonna go for b4. G4 is a very difficult move to make because you are giving away the h3 pawn. But it's so important that you get to f7. You're creating so much counterplay with that. So that's the key. That's the key for Jan.
Two big questions. Will Hikaru play b4? And if he does, will Jan have the guts to play g4?
And this comes down to something that Hikaru was mentioning. The problem is whenever you're taking so much time is that your opponent also gets the time to calculate on your time. So don't spend too much time right now going down the last 3 minutes. Hikaru doesn't like this. He doesn't like the fact that probably this pawn on b5 seems to be just lost. Queen e2, he finds it.
Okay, fine. That was really important.
Best move right now to go bishop c5 to try to defend the pawn on f2, but also immobilize the knight on a4.
Bishop d4, the only move really
Ooh.
for Jan.
What? Sorry, what?
Okay, he will take on f7, I guess.
Ah, you're taking on f2. Hikaru is bewildered by what just happened.
He even gave a little stare to the webcam, like, did you guys see this?
Excuse me, what? I mean, yeah, this is just game over. You cannot take this pawn because I give you a check, check. Now you have to defend that one. Guess what? You're not really defending anything because you lose the rook, the queen, excuse me.
Very nice. I mean, what a game. Nepo was almost back in it, but one wrong move, queen b3, and Hikaru is winning again. And I think this time he will not let go of the advantage.
That's why bishop b4 was so important, to not lose the pawn on f2.
That was a big pawn for the king's safety. I mean, that king is never going to be safe again.
That's the problem. That's a huge problem right there. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It seems to be getting closer and closer, Fiona. We're getting closer and closer. You can see the angst on Nepo's face right now. He's not happy with how this one played out. He knows his moves away from resigning and getting kicked out of the tournament.
Yeah, a second loss. I mean, for Nepo, he beat everyone who wasn't Hikaru, but those two losses against Hikaru. Okay, let's not call it before it's over, but we're very, very close now. But time. Okay, we're under 2 minutes. We always know anything can still happen, but
Queen
I
c4,
like
good
Queen
move.
c4 actually, just a more controlled move, not allowing white any counterplay.
Yeah, Hikaru takes this one. He's punching his ticket, and he's going to be meeting Magnus in the finals if he finishes the job right now.
The 5 times is saying, Christian, will you support Magnus so Hikaru will win?
I guess I have to. I mean, I don't know. Well, today I'm on fire, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Today I'm on fire.
Okay, how do we get to that white king?
Okay, I think
We
you
don't
don't
have to,
have
we
to. I
just
think
use the B pawn, yeah?
just get the B pawn going. Get the white people going. That's the plan. I mean, look, Nepo is making it as difficult as possible.
Of course.
With this knight to e5, if you take, I create this battery.
I wouldn't be super comfortable as black. I'd still feel like, okay, white still has some tricks, especially with a minute 30. Okay, let's
Queen
see.
c2, get the king out, but then maybe you can start pushing. I don't know. How do you defend this pawn on f2 is the question. f7, excuse me.
I mean, will
I
he
guess you have
maybe take on e5?
at some point you have to take this. But that's such a dangerous thing to do, right? I don't know. I'm not liking this one. Knight e4, queen e4 is a problem. Having so many light square weaknesses is going to open up the portal for a lot of checks.
Yeah, we need a move, and we need a move now. Suddenly, a minute only for Hikaru. We talked while he was here about the importance of the clock and the importance of understanding when you need to switch to bullet mode.
King e3. Okay, get the knight out. That's not an easy one, by the way,
Yeah.
because you allow queen e8, king h7, and you need to realize, okay, he does not spot it, and now queen e8 is very powerful to set up this pin. Still not over 6 minutes differential between the two, 6 seconds differential between the two players. He spots this move, queen to e8. Crunch time. Oh no, take, queen takes b5. Oh no, he loses the white people. Queen
Okay,
d5,
still
this is
up
not
a
over.
pawn. This is
Still up a
gonna be a
pawn, queen
time
h2.
scramble.
Let's go for
Oh
the pawn.
dear.
Knight f2. Oh no, we're going to see some checks. Queen g3, king e2. Oh no, bishop e5, check. Queen c7, he's trying to get away from the checks. g6. It's all about the seconds right now. It's all about the
Jan
seconds
is a
right now.
fast player as well. Like, this could go absolutely either way.
Yeah, I wouldn't risk too much, you know? Like, don't go down to the last 10 seconds and then try to make a draw, because Jan is going to try to flag you at that
The
point.
problem is it's very hard to force a draw anyway, even with black, right?
Yeah, get the knight to f4, king h6 is trying to go to g5, but be careful. Knight e5 is always in
I
the
would
books.
swap queens before I get mated here.
Yeah. Oh, g5. Wait. What?
Oh,
G5.
Jan
Oh
spotted
no.
queen f8.
Queen f8.
But I
Is
think
Jan?
Hikaru might be happy to make a draw at this
Oh,
point,
he
to be
definitely
honest.
is. He definitely is. 12 seconds. Like what do you do actually right now?
I think Jan is looking. Is there any way to play on?
18 seconds. Yeah, Queen F8. And it's a
What a
draw.
game. Hikaru is laughing. Wow. He's finding something very funny. I don't know what it. I haven't seen Hikaru laugh like this in a while.
Well, he knows he messed it up. That's basically, he knows he had the win in the bag. He probably relaxed for a second. And you give Jan, you give any of these players one move, one opportunity, and they'll take it. And again, once you go down to the last few minutes, it all becomes, everybody panics. It doesn't matter what your name is in this competition with no increment, everybody panics. So to be honest, given the fact that the way those last couple of minutes were going, I'm sort of relieved that at least we got a draw.
I agree with you. I was getting really, really worried, and in the end, I mean, if we went down to a complete time scramble with both players under 10 seconds, anything could happen. So we are going to get one more game, an Armageddon to break the tie here.
Yep.
And we'll probably get the bids soon. I guess chat might be faster than us. How low do you think Hikaru will go this time? Because
Well,
Giannis,
he went what, 6 minutes something, 6 minutes a few seconds against Alireza.
yeah, so 6:19 first and then 6:01.
He does believe that Jan and Alireza are somewhat similar in terms of speed. So I don't think he's going to go much higher than what he did against Alireza, which is interesting.
Much lower or
Much lower,
or
excuse
much,
me.
yeah.
Well, actually much higher.
You think it will be roughly the same ballpark?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. That one played out in his favor. He obviously feels very comfortable with this Italian. This Italian is the dream game, it seems like, for Hikaru. He just feels very secure, very confident in it. So I think he might be going somewhere around 6 minutes, 20 seconds, something like that.
Yeah,
Oh,
I think that's a good
Nepo,
prediction.
Nepo got Nepo
Wow.
bid 10 minutes.
Interesting.
That's
So Nepo wanted white, and
oh man.
Hikaru bid 640. I mean, he could have bid a lot higher in hindsight, but he also could have bid lower, right? If, as you said, he could very easily have bid 620. So at least, we'll take those extra 20 seconds, but wow, crazy for Nepo to bid 10.
10 minutes, he really liked that white. That's kind of a psychological play, right?
Yeah.
You're like, okay, I want white. I just want white. It doesn't matter what you bid. I just want white. That's interesting. We'll see if it plays out. It's a gamble. We'll see if it plays out the way he wants it. But 6 minutes 40 in the end. This is the bid that Hikaru will go with, and we're going to have a scramble.
Yeah, this will be the final game of the day. Hikaru has draw odds, but he will start with 3 minutes and 20 seconds less on the clock. I'm pretty sure we're gonna see another of those Italians. And yeah, so far they've worked out well. Hikaru, I mean, he must be frustrated that he didn't. Let's maybe, while we wait for the players, maybe we can see where the win was spoiled in this game.
Well, actually, we do have a 6-minute break, so I think it's time for us to take a break as well.
Then let's take a break.
And then we'll be back after that with the Armageddon for all the marbles in the losers final.
See you guys. Welcome back, everyone. This is the Armageddon game between Jan Nepomniachtchi and Hikaru. And actually, we don't get a repeat of the Italian. Instead, Nepo switches to the English opening. Hikaru is playing with 6 minutes 40 against 10, but a draw will see him through. Christian, what do we make of this opening?
Absolutely. Look, I sort of expected something different from Nepo. Again, it seemed like Hikaru was just super confident in that Italian. So Nepo decides to completely change pace in this one and go for a more an idea that keeps more pieces on the board, right? With b5, c4, okay, everything is still on the board. We haven't exchanged much. I'm feeling like this one is going to be a long game. What Hikaru needs to do is play fast. And the way he did against Alireza was perfect. Let's see if he can replicate that and those type of ideas.
Yeah, so in the opening stage, especially as you mentioned, very important when you start with such a big time deficit to play the opening quickly.
Fast, yeah.
We see him do just that. What do you make of the pawn structure? Is the b7 pawn something we might have to be worried about at some point?
That's the big problem in the position, and what you want to do most likely as black is at some point push d5. The problem is whenever you do so, you have some difficulties on the dark squares. So we'll see how Hikaru... I like this move, knight e4. Knight e4, he's swinging this knight towards b3. I like this. I like this development.
Now the bishop is looking down at the queen, so maybe d3 from white or move the queen. And I like this move a4 a lot. And we're going to have a big outpost on b3. But Jan is trying to stop us from getting there. Maybe the other knight via a5. Although a4 is hanging. A messy position.
It is a messy position.
Messy stuff.
It is a messy position. Let's see how Jan deals with that as well. Whoa, whoa, whoa. That was an opportunity right there. Knight takes f2 followed by e4. Hikaru did not spot it. Look, it's very difficult to spend any time, and nobody's going to pat you on the back and tell you this is it, this is the moment. So knight f6, go back. But now you can take, maybe queen to c2, and you're starting to have some difficulties with the king. It's a little bit airy on that side.
Yeah, to be honest, I'm shocked that Jan hasn't yet captured. Okay, here he goes.
d5.
And d5.
The problem is this one is going to get a little bit messy after c5.
So
now you need to calculate, right? If you take on c5, obviously that will allow me taking the center with the knight, which might be problematic. So I don't think you have to do that. e4, good move, nicely spotted by Hikaru. Hikaru needs to eliminate as many pieces as possible. This is his main task right now. He has black and he needs a draw. At least a draw. Take.
Okay, the position is fine still, right? It's not
good.
a dream position, but it's still okay.
It's fine. It's more or less fine right now. Yes.
And we're down to just under, 2 minutes difference. So, okay, so far so good.
He caught up a little bit on the clock, which is very, very good. And again, it's all about that psychological edge that you get whenever your opponent with the white pieces got all this time advantage at the beginning, and then you catch up. And if the position is not completely demolishing for your opponent, then you're just fine. I mean, you caught up, you played fast. Rook takes c1.
Yeah, what a move.
It's looking good right now.
Everything is being traded. This is exactly what we want to see.
This is an absolutely dream situation right now. Queen takes d5. Just start looking at that pawn on g2. Queen c3, obviously. Be careful. Don't get checkmated. I'm sure Hikaru will spot that. Queen d7. Take on f3.
Yeah, and the white king is quite open. I like your idea. b5, knight c4. That's exactly what Hikaru goes for. Yeah, within a minute and a half now on the clock, this is looking good so far. The rook to the rescue, and so the queen can move next. The queen can move without having to worry about the mate on g7. Knight c4.
Yeah, bishop d4, rook b7. That's okay. Next, I go queen to e7 most likely. Maybe even hide my king on h7. What I do have at all times is somewhat of a swing of this queen on the g file, and then try to get the perpetual. Just go queen f5 and try to get the perpetual. Or queen d5.
Same
fine
idea,
as well.
Right? Yeah.
Fine as well. No, I think it's looking good. It's looking good, Fiona. And
I
guess
don't
what?
dare saying anything anymore because the previous game, whenever I looked at the chat, I was being bashed for jinxing, you know, because I was like, this is, you know, almost winning. So
I'm
I
curious if
don't
you can
dare
even go.
opening my mouth anymore.
I'm curious if you can even go for this and how close to equal it is. But probably that's not going to happen. Okay, queen to d5. Both at 5 minutes. 5 minutes, 9 seconds for Hikaru, 5 minutes, 42 for Jan. Queen c5. Take, rook c7, bishop d4. Okay. King goes back to f7, protecting the pawns, getting closer to the center. f4. This knight on c4 is such a powerhouse right now.
Yeah, it can never be removed.
Yeah, and the thing is, whenever you go e4, try control d5 square, then I go rook d7, rook d3. So you cannot really allow me to kick this bishop back.
And look at the clock times. Almost even.
Even Steven. Yeah, no, this one looking really good. Rook b7 right now, followed by b4. I don't think I'm missing anything. Creating this passed pawn. Yeah, no.
I like rook b7. Somehow past pawns have been a big theme in Hikaru's matches the last couple of days.
Yeah, he goes for rook b7. Go back. No discoveries. Bishop c5 to put the bishop on b4. Okay, let's trade these rooks off. Let's trade the rooks off, right? Okay, rook f2, saying that, hey, be careful, knight e5 is coming. King e2.
G5, interesting.
20 seconds differential right now. Hikaru is basically back on the clock.
But G5 was it was G5, right? That the computer did not really approve of.
It's
Because now
tough to
suddenly,
say.
I mean, we can't create a pass pawn so easily any longer.
Yeah, but
What
right now,
happens if black takes?
if you take on b5, I go rook c2. Okay, knight here, king e2 or king d3. Which one? Which one do you go for? King d1, he's trying to create some sort of a triangulation situation. King e2 or king d2.
But how does Nepo escape? He'll have to go to E2, I guess.
Where's the triangle?
Where
King
is
d1,
the
knight
triangle?
95. Yeah, let's keep going towards f3. Why not?
I still don't understand. Knight e5, rook takes b5, and then what?
Rook c2. Rook c2 followed by knight d3.
Ah, nice.
Yeah, no, I think he found it. Again, even on time. Even on time right now. This is key. Still not over, but it's looking better and better because knight d3, once I manage to exchange, especially these connected passers, give me one of the connected passers, then I'm going to be able to take on b4 and simplify the position to a technical draw. So right now, Hikaru perhaps feeling it.
I'm looking at Nepo. Nepo doesn't look too happy right now. He's in the zone, but he's not finding anything. And that's because there was nothing there. The computer says 0 zeros in all the lines. And are we setting up? Yeah, he had to take to not allow the perpetual with knight b2.
Okay, you take on g5, I take on a3, and that's a powerful pawn right there. That's a powerful pawn right there.
But maybe knight f2, do you take the h pawn first?
Yeah, yeah. He listened.
Yeah, I'm
listened to
very
me.
happy to get rid of that h pawn. Not what Hikaru does, but both white pawns are under attack now. The pawn on e3 and the pawn on h3. There is no way to defend both. So we are getting closer and closer to a draw. Hikaru is up on the time. I'm not gonna say it, but it's starting to look good.
Don't say it, Fiona. Don't say it.
I know.
Don't say it.
Okay, let's get the rook behind that pawn. I like to see that. And just keep everything under control.
Okay, you just want to be a little bit careful because what you don't want is rook bishop versus rook. That's the last thing you want.
Yeah.
That truly is the last thing you want with no increment.
So let's see. 3 minutes 15 for both players. Fiona, don't talk. Okay.
What is he calculating? All he has to do, okay, so knight f4, probably a good idea. Try to get this knight closer to this bishop, closer to the promotion of this pawn. King f5, why not? Hey, you allow me? Yeah. King f5, let's go. King f5 followed by knight e6. This is it. a3, push the pawn.
Push people.
Okay, push the white people. Okay, check. You cannot go to d4.
Yeah, but then how do you escape? This is it?
This might be it. Okay, you have to go
King
king g3. No, I don't have.
No. Is this it?
King g3, I just take on h6. Or take on h6 right now.
Oh, let's go.
That's it. That is it. That is game. Bishop takes
and
h6,
we saw
knight
the nod from Hikaru of like, yeah, got it. And the head in the hands for Nepo.
There's a bit of a crying situation right now. It seems like I don't know exactly what's happening, but the game is over. And what a save.
Phew.
What a save. That's
Oh my god, that was nerve-wracking. That was nerve-wracking, but we've done it. Hikaru will play Magnus again tomorrow in the, what's it even called? The winners final, the big final. Look at Hikaru. They're nervous as well. Did he, oh no, did something break? Did the pineapple?
I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. We'll see what broke. I don't know. Those looks like some eggs. I don't even know what that is.
No, it's a pineapple, right? A golden pineapple.
I have no idea.
Let's see.
It looked like a dinosaur egg to me, but yeah.
Oh my goodness, guys, what a tough match this was. Heartbreaking game 2 to not win it, but then he took it in the Armageddon. I don't know if Hikaru is going to join us immediately or if he's going to do an interview.
It's going to be a couple of minutes, it seems like.
Chess.com.
Yeah, it's going to be a couple of minutes. All right, let's talk about the bracket, how we got here.
Let's talk about
Fiona, tell me what happened. Tell me what happened.
So what happened today is we started with 2 matches, Arjun Erigaisi against Nepo and Firouzja against Duda. Those were 2 whitewashes with Nepo and Duda going through. They then met in an interesting battle where Nepo really showed some great knowledge in the Catalan with the black pieces in game 2 to take that one. And that's how we got to this final, Hikaru against Jan. The first 2 games ended in a draw. Then we landed in Armageddon, and Hikaru found some great defensive moves towards the end to hold it in the balance. And that means that tomorrow he goes on to play Magnus again. It will be a best of 4 match. The first one, if Hikaru wins it, he hasn't won the tournament yet. He will need to beat Magnus twice tomorrow to win the whole tournament.
Of Hikaru. Hikaru is here after that incredible match. Hikaru, first of all, congratulations. Went all the way to the Armageddon. I'm sure you didn't want to see that, especially after that second game. But how are you feeling right now?
Yeah, I mean, I feel fine. I think what I would say is that there were some shades of the recent tournament I played in Germany, Wiesenhaus, where kind of like I got some winning positions and I misplayed it. I mean, I should have just won that second game. I don't know why I didn't play knight c5 after he played like queen e3 or whatever it was. Just bring the knight back. I mean, it's so clean, but I mean, it is what it is. And then kind of, yeah. But by the end, I mean, it was too easy for him to play. So if anybody's trying to flag, it's probably white here. But that's how it goes. So it wasn't necessarily very clean, perhaps. But you know, I think in the Armageddon game, I mostly moved fast. I suspect I was in trouble very briefly. I think I was completely fine. Oh yeah. So keep going. I mean, first things first, like he surprised me in the opening and I was kind of caught a little bit off guard. But the thing is, or at least what I've realized from having played a bunch of Armageddon games, is that basically when you play the Armageddon games, what happens is that you kind of have to just move quickly. If you get stuck in the mud early in the game, you're not gonna have time later on. So I kind of just played fast and I thought I got a pretty decent position. As we just keep going forward. Yeah, I mean, I thought somewhere around here I should be fine, but the problem is like it's very much, you know, hit or miss. You either move fast or you use your time. And I kind of decided I was just going to move quickly and just hope that it would work.
Yeah, there was this moment where you had knight to f2 at this point. Just
Yeah, you know what? I saw this actually. As soon as I moved, you probably saw my reaction. As soon
yeah,
as I moved, you probably saw my reaction. Like I realized that I had missed knight f2.
yeah. But as you just mentioned,
So
is that balance that you need to strike, right, between moving fast and be precise.
yeah. Yeah, so I mean, I kind of was just like moving fast and trying to be quick. And yeah, I think, I mean, yeah, I played knight f6 like an idiot, and I just missed that he had the c5. I didn't think d5 was a move, and he goes here, and now already, I mean, I have to be very, very careful. But the good thing is, again, even here, I don't have many moves. If I don't play e4, I think I pretty much resign the game,
Hmm.
basically, because my pawn structure on the king side is very bad. So again, it all kind of, yeah, it's all forced. We got this position, takes here. Yeah, and somewhere around here, I knew I had to be fine, but I misplayed it. So queen c3. Queen f7 was better? Oh, because I just have knight c4 right away. And then rook d. Yeah. Okay, I get it. Yeah, if I had done this, there would have been nothing interesting in the game. That's kind of a pity.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a bit of a pity. But anyway, yeah, I go queen d7, b5, king g2, and then I thought rook a7 was correct because I didn't want to allow this rook d1 trick. He goes, yeah, plays queen b4, yeah, bishop d4. I mean, yeah, I think here rook b7 is a mistake, right? If I go to c7, it's just better.
Yeah. But b7 is very natural as well, right?
Yeah, I mean, once I go rook b7, rook c1, I think queen d5 is a mistake, actually, to be honest. I think that from a general standpoint here, I should just keep as many pieces on the board. Like, I should just go king h7, just play the position. I mean, it feels very hard for white to do anything. Because once I trade the queens, it gets to the spot where I actually think I have to be very, very careful. Like, still, I should be fine here. But I forgot to play g5, which was just absurd. A g5 is, I mean, again, as soon as I played king f7, I realized that I should have played g5. But yeah, I mean, I think I still did okay, though, to hang on.
No, for sure. I don't think you were ever much worse, maybe a little bit, but
Oh, it's not that bad?
not enough. Not enough. No, not
No,
enough.
but here it is. Here with okay, but if e4 is the the best try, I'm not gonna be super unhappy about it. Like, I mean, e4 is not a very natural human move.
Yeah.
So yeah, I played what, rook b8, knight e5, yeah, takes, or no, king d2, right? And then eventually, yeah. I mean, the great thing is all my moves are instant. Like, I don't have anything to think about. There's nothing else to play, really. So it's really nice also because I still have 4 minutes on the clock here.
And I feel
yeah.
this is kind of the moment where you catch up on time. How does that moment feel psychologically? Because obviously you start off with a big disadvantage, and then finally you catch up on time, and your position is fine as well.
I mean, I think there are a couple things. First of all, catching up on time is nice, but generally you want a simpler position. Like here, it's good that not only have I caught up on time, but I've caught up on time where we have 4 minutes left. And then it's also an end game, which means that I'm never going to have a big think here. There's not going to be any moment where I need to use like 60 to 90 seconds to think. So it's basically perfect. And that's why I feel like with the Armageddon games, especially online, if you don't pose problems for your opponent in like the first 10 moves, they get to like move 20, having used like half a minute or 1 minute at most. I think it's very what was I gonna say? It's very easy to play. And so yeah, I didn't think I was ever in danger. I thought what I did here was very, very precise, like rook c2. I mean, all this is like very fast. Like I never went into a deep tank. And yeah, I mean, maybe rook g5, maybe there's something better, like bishop d4, I thought, but still, it's like it's asking for a lot here. Like knight f2, king c1, rook a3, and I guess actually this isn't even anything either. I thought I could go e4, but I just go knight h3. But yeah. So
were you surprised that Jan bid 10 minutes?
Oh, I didn't even know his bid. I just knew that I won the bid. No, but he did this before against me when we played that stupid RCC final. Of course I don't forget these things. In like the semis, he did the same thing. He bid 15 minutes. I bid like 8 minutes or something like that. So I didn't know that, but even so, it's not surprising just because he had done it before. But having heard that, it makes me a little bit disappointed because I could have bid a little bit higher. I thought about bidding like 7 minutes just because like whatever, but I knew I wasn't going to bid 6 minutes. That I was not going to bid, for sure. So I just bid like 640, and yeah, I think 640 is more than enough. But I will say also, to be fair, I think Armageddons online are much different than playing over the board because you have pre-moves, you can make the moves very quickly. So I think there's much more of a premium on getting black in the Armageddon than there normally is. Like in the CCT, which I played in, I think it was in Toronto, like 2023 or whenever it was. I feel like every game I had black, I was just losing. I was just losing because like I didn't have enough time. But I think online, it's much easier to move quickly.
And I know that I think you have to go to chess.com
No,
for an interview.
I'm good.
soon.
I'm good. They said I'm
Okay.
good. They said I didn't have to join, so
Oh, fantastic.
someone can ask them.
Then the important question is the pineapple okay that we saw you drop?
Yeah, it's fine. No,
after the game.
It's just open. That's all. I didn't even know that it opens. It actually opens. Like it actually opens. So, like it kind of unlocked, and I didn't even know that it unlocks. I think that's correct. I mean, there's a little cutout.
A happy
so
accident.
Yeah, it's like one of those Fabergé eggs or something. Or yeah, it opens and there's a surprise inside. But yeah, it's all good. No, there's nothing inside. There's no Fabergé egg. There's no like $20 million for me. Like it's just a normal thing. But anyway, yeah. So
tomorrow against Magnus, you have to win 2 matches. Obviously, this is the revenge that you wanted to get. How are you going to approach that one?
Yeah, I mean, it's not going to be easy. It's going to be 4 games. I think the main thing is, at least from a mental standpoint, it'll be a lot easier to play because obviously Magnus was better than I was yesterday, but I definitely did not put anything resembling my best effort forth. And I think that's largely because of the stress. You know, I said it yesterday and I would say it again. I think that it's very, very different because of the Esports World Cup, because of the orgs that are sponsoring the players. Like, I think there's a lot more added pressure. And just knowing that win against Ollie, I said this earlier, actually, literally verbatim, but for anyone who wasn't watching, I knew that if I beat Alireza in that match, I was guaranteed top 3 at worst, likely top 2. So like all the pressure like was kind of gone. I just like the emotion of that match with Alireza really took its toll. And so I think mostly I'll just try to play good chess. Obviously, it's not uphill battle, but you know the good news is I don't have to play some stressful long match with Armageddons and everything else before. So I'll just do my best. But the good news is, of course, I have 2nd place. Definitely going to go to Riyadh now in at the end of July for the event, and it's all good.
I've noticed a trademark in these matches, chess-wise. You always get the white peepos. Is that something that you're working to get? Is that something that you really want to see?
What do you mean?
You
mean where I have pawns?
You got the A pawns all the time.
But usually you need 2. You need 2, not just 1.
Okay.
But anyway, it's fine. Yeah, I mean, I think what I would say is that I thought that I played pretty well today. You know, the first game I was a little bit disappointed with, I'm not going to lie, because it was a position where I have a feeling if I have like 20-25 minutes and I can actually think, maybe I can prove an advantage. But I just tried to go fast because you really have to judge when to use time or not use time. So I just kind of went fast, and I was a little bit disappointed because I think I could have put more pressure on Jan. But it's what it is. So no, it's all good. It's all good. And I think I'm playing pretty well. I think, you know, also the other thing is a lot of people, you know, for whatever reason seem to think that I just say random stuff just because, as though I don't believe any of it. But as I said before, I mean, I do believe in this format. You know, there are 4 clear favorites, or 4 people who are one of the 4, I would say, we comprise probably 95% of the likelihood that one of the 4 of us will win, and that's me, Magnus, Nepo, or Alireza. Obviously, I think Magnus is a favorite overall, but I think, you know, we're the 4 people who, with this time control, can just like punish people on the clock. So, I mean, it's good. At least when I played Nepo, it felt like we were playing kind of, I don't know, we were playing Blitz or we were playing Bullet, but the games were going fast, and it was just kind of nice to just play and be very chill.
Are you gonna do any special prep for tomorrow, especially now with the pressure of qualifying for Riyadh off? Are you just gonna, you know, relax and
I'll probably do a little bit of light prep. I mean, I think, you know, with 10-0, there's much more of a premium on just playing chess versus great preparation. I mean, if you catch your opponent something, you can maybe get a win. But I would say, you know, even when I look at, like, you know, a good example was the Alireza game versus Duda. The first game, I thought Alireza was much better out of that opening. He was pushing Duda, but still time played a huge role, and Alireza ended up losing that first game. So I'm not going to do anything super special, but it's going to be fun to play Magnus. It's always fun to play him. And just really looking forward to it.
Well, Hikaru,
go ahead, Fiona. Go ahead.
we certainly look forward to that match. Thank you very much for taking the time to joining us, not just once, but twice today. I imagine there will be a recap on the way soon.
Yeah, I'll be doing a recap, and yeah, I guess tomorrow I play Magnus, so should be fun, like old times, I guess you could say. It's been a long time actually since I feel like I've played Magnus in a final of anything. It feels like I'm not sure when. Maybe no, I didn't play him at SEC. I didn't play him in the Bullet Brawl, or the Bullet Championship, whatever they call it. So it's actually been, I think, probably like at least a year, if not more, since we last played in a finals, or like one of these like big matches at the end. So just gonna be fun. And it's always fun to play Magnus. I mean, he is the best, and you just try to do your best. So hopefully I'll play well.
Hikaru, go get your recap done and sign us off.
All right, you guys. Hope everybody enjoyed the show. We'll be back tomorrow around 11 a.m. Eastern for the grand finale, the El Clasico, as I play against Magnus Carlsen in the finals, and we'll be